All right. What's up? And welcome back to another live stream with GizmoSlipTech. Today we're doing a Starfield gameplay review. This is going to go over basically every single topic related to Starfield that I can think of worth covering. I'm going to talk about the gameplay aspects in detail. I mean, that's going to be the main focus today, but we're also going to talk about game optimization. We're going to be playing Starfield today for, I'm guessing, 2 to 3 hours to be able to get through all of these topics. We're going to talk about the problem with Starfield. There are some problem areas with Starfield, and there are some ways that if you know what you're doing, you can kind of get around some of these issues, like the UI issues or fast travel issues, inventory issues, or buggy AI. Those are kind of the most common issues that I ran into when playing Starfield. But despite that, I still fell in love with Starfield. So we're going to talk about this. I'm going to quickly go over everything we're going to talk about. And since this is going to be such a long and in-depth review of Starfield, we will have timestamps shortly after this review is done, usually within a day. So notice that we have all of these topics to cover. We're going to talk about modding Starfield. We're going to talk about building a character, how the character skills work, how the skill tree works, what I thought of the main story, and I did complete the main story of the game. I've done several side quests all the way to completion as well, but not all of them. There's a lot of Starfield gameplay that I have yet to actually fully do because it's such a complex an intricate world that takes at least, I would say, 200 hours of gameplay to truly flesh out. And I only have about 45 to 50 hours of gameplay done so far. So let's go ahead and talk about everything that we're going to talk about. Why I fell in love with Starfield. Will you like Starfield? What kind of person would enjoy this game? How much CPU and GPU power do you actually need to get a fluid, good gaming experience? How to get more FPS, including installing performance mods that enhance performance, as well as a mod that enables DLSS support. I'm going to go through the step-by-steps on how to install those mods, the things you need to download, and I'll put links to those in the description as well. How bad are the bugs in Starfield? The graphical quality, my thoughts on the sound design, world building. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the character builder. We're going to look at character skill trees. And then I'm going to talk about all the different areas of the main story in vague terms. So it'll be a spoiler-free review. If I do give any spoilers, I will give a giant warning beforehand. Because this is such a fun game and I wouldn't want to, completely spoil anything. And I do think that the story on it is really, really good. And I'll talk about why I think it's so good when we get to that. So there's the inventory management in this game is pretty clunky. Navigating the world can be really clunky at times, but after struggling through it, I figured it out. So I'm going to give you some detailed tips on how to manage the inventory, navigate the world, earn that starter money. We're going to go through some first-player combat and give my thoughts on first-person combat. And then we're going to do some spaceship combat and tips. And also, we're going to go through the spaceship creation and do like a build a spaceship and modify that. Then we're going to do some outpost creation guide, how to make your own home, basically, on any planet. And we're going to look at some exploration and mining as well, which are, in my opinion, fairly minor aspects of this game, but also kind of important as well. Obviously, it's not something that I super focused on in my initial playthrough, but it's the kind of thing that you'll do as you do Outposts in particular, because you'll want to find the very best world to build your home on. And last, we're going to talk about, is it worth buying? So let's start right at the beginning here with the problem with Starfield. Now, I invite you guys to like this live stream as well. So this is my home right here. We are on, I believe it's the New Horizon on Jemison. We're next to the new, basically the main town here, New Atlantis. We're next to the main town inside of the Alpha Centauri system, which is the closest star system to Sol. And I've built my own home here called Gizmo Town. And we're going to just take a quick look at my outpost here. So there's my ship, customized self-built ship right there. And there's a water well extracting water, which goes into a storage. There's a scanner booster, solar power. There's my outpost right there. This is my little home habitat, and these are all my science modules. Weapon workbench, research lab, cooking station, industrial workbench, pharmaceutical lab, and then you can also sleep right here, and you can actually get in it and sleep. And then there's a lot of cool flora and fauna on this world, which is the reason why I ended up choosing this world. So you can come out here and you can interact with the flora and fauna, killing them, hunting them, or doing whatever. And then in addition, there's an important aspect to your home outpost, which is the mission boards here. So this is basically the brief overview of what an outpost is. You can capture resources from it automatically. This mines stuff automatically, which I can then use to build more resources, and you can send these resources using these pads to other outposts you have, and I have like 3 or 4 outposts made at this point. But yeah, so what is the problem with Starfield? Let's do this chronologically so I cover everything, and we're trying to cover everything once, right? So the problem with Starfield really is that it's not a game that's designed for everybody. Like, you kind of need to be a sci-fi nut to get into this game. Like, it is a complex and intricate game with a lot of game systems that are not supernatural unless you're a veteran gamer. And even if you're a veteran gamer, sometimes you're like, I had to Google a bunch of stuff as I went along just to figure out what the heck I'm doing right now. So like, to be able to like set up an outpost, I had to watch a guide video on it to watch, and then I probably watched 2 or 3 guide videos because it's so complicated. And then I still had to Google stuff even after watching the video. So yeah, you have to be willing to give a lot of your time to learn the game systems in order to experience the game. Another problem with Starfield is just the UI is very confusing and complex, especially the inventory system. So the character has an inventory, and we have an inventory limit right here. There is an inventory inside my outpost, inside of this storage crate. And then there's so this has an inventory. My ship has its own inventory. My companion character has their own inventory. So it's very easy to lose items if you're not careful. So I pretty much don't use any other inventory space except my ship's inventory and my personal inventory at this point. The ship inventory is huge, and you can store a ton of stuff on it if you install especially extra warehouse and storage bins on your ship. So it's, I think, very important to keep in mind. Britt Allen wants to know what laptop I'm using. This is the Blade 18 with the RTX 4090 laptop 4090, of course, which is closer to the desktop 4080. It's got the i9 13950HX CPU in it. Right now, I am running in ultra settings with the DLSS mod installed and added, as well as a performance enhancing mod that makes ultra settings just a little bit less taxing, especially on your CPU, which is typically your bottleneck with this game. It's typically a CPU bound game, especially at lower resolutions. But even at higher resolutions in cities, it's very CPU bound. So you can see my settings right now. DLSS is at 50%, which is basically balanced mode. If I press FN plus the right arrow key, which is the end key, you can see I can see that right now we're rendering at 1280 by 800 and upscaling to 2560 by 1600. So yeah, this is basically like a balanced DLSS setting. And if you wanted to do more of a quality setting, you probably want to set it more like 75% or maybe 66%. But 75% would give us a render resolution. Let's see, let's go back. We gotta pull this up again. There, now it's 1920 by 1200 now, with DLSS upscaled to 2560 by 1600. And you can see my FPS went down by about 20 by increasing the render resolution there. So DLSS here really giving us a huge advantage. And honestly, DLSS at 50% on balance mode, this still looks quite good in my opinion. You can see I'm getting about 75 FPS on ultra settings. And we are here on, like I said, the city is where it's called New Atlantis, but we're on Jemison is the planet. So the way the map, this is one of the problems, right? We're talking about the problems still with Starfield. One of the problems with Starfield is that the map is just really complicated. Look at this, like it's not, like even if I zoom in, if I want to go to my town, I have to click right here. And if I want to go to my other outposts, I actually have to zoom out of the system, then I have to go over here and click on Olympus, and right here is the Olympus system. It's kind of hard to make sure you click on the right one. Here's my other outpost. I have to remember where my outposts are. And here's my other outpost called Ally Town, which is my aluminum mining town, basically, or outpost. And this is out here on Thalessa. And aluminum is very important for outposts. So this is probably the most important one to set up first. So you can see I've got a ship center here with solar panels and multiple aluminum mining here. But to just remember where I'm going in the world, like to get around, if you're like new to this stuff, like there's no favorites is the problem here that I'm trying to get at with the map system. So you have to manually remember where all your outposts are, and that's just very bad. So I'm hoping either a mod or an update fixes this, gives us a commonly visited outpost list or your custom outpost list or something, so you can just click it out of a list and jump to that town. So one of the other problems with Starfield is that if you want to fly your ship on a planet, you cannot do that. There's no atmospheric flight in this game at all, which is one of the things that I hope, I don't think Starfield will ever actually add this, but it would be so cool if they did. But there's a reason why they didn't do this. Okay, so this is one of the things that comes down to a huge differences between Starfield, Elite Dangerous, Star Citizen. There's different levels of seamless integration across environments and atmospheres. Starfield heavily isolates the indoor environments from the outdoor environments. Unless it's a very simplistic indoor environment, it will almost always be isolated from the outdoor environment. So if I were to go over to this outpost over here, I probably would not be able to go everywhere in that outpost. I would probably have some door or vault or lock I'd have to go through and get into. Same with the ship. This is inside of this current game engine shell that in this instance, the ship interior is not being rendered. Whereas in Star Citizen, everything is being rendered all the time around the player, which is a far more complicated game engine problem to solve. And at the same time, that allows Star Citizen players to get into their ship seamlessly, take off seamlessly, either fly out of the planet seamlessly or around on the ground through the atmosphere seamlessly. And it's like the atmospheric flight model is different than the space flight model, for example. So Star Citizen's much more complex from a simulation standpoint than Starfield is. But I've played quite a few hours of Star Citizen and like over 450 hours of Elite Dangerous, and those games take forever to get from point A to point B. That's part of the fun, is flying your ship, at least part of the time, but it does get old after taking 15 minutes to go from point A to point B, like 100 times. Like the first 20 times is pretty engaging when you're flying your Elite Dangerous ship or Star Citizen ship, but eventually you're like, I'm just here to transport cargo. I'm here to do a bounty hunter mission. I just want to land, kill someone, move on. And especially in Elite Dangerous, Odyssey, which I did play, I didn't like Odyssey very much because there was so much delay in travel. Taking 15, 10, 5 minutes, whatever, to get from one system to another system just to go kill some people and then get back in your ship and wait another 5, 10 minutes to get where you want to go and turn in your bounty. That's no fun. Starfield certainly addresses that problem better using this game engine approach that they did with instances. So you can quickly jump from one instance to another instance instantly. Basically, pretty much. I mean, that's pretty much exactly how to say it. You know, if you want to go from one world to another world in Elite Dangerous or Star Citizen, you take off. It takes 5-10 minutes to get wherever you want to go. This game, you want to go, if I want to go back to my other outpost, it's as simple as using this clunky map menu and remembering where to go. And then I got to click there, and now I'm back to here. And I can go to my other outpost on Zemeka. I haven't named this one, but this is my iron mining outpost. And then I'm there. Like, I'm here now. I'm now on this other planet on the other side of the solar system, like now in another solar system on another star system. And so these mining extractors extract iron and they put it into this storage, and they've got 57 iron right now ready for me to pick up if I wanted to pick them up. I suppose I can grab them since we're here. And yeah, so I love the fast travel aspect of it. It makes completing missions far more engaging because it's just all about doing mission after mission after mission, objective after objective, and it just flows seamlessly, more so than Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen, in just the raw on the footage gameplay. Like, you're fighting, you're in space, you're blowing up ships, then you're jumping somewhere else and you're blowing up ships, and then you're landing and you're killing people, or you're mining or extracting or exploring. It's just nonstop activity with almost no downtime. I love that about Starfield, but at the same time, I also love the simulator feel that Star Citizen has. And I wish in Starfield you could do both, but I think it's a game engine limitation of the creation engine. And that's the reason why they went with this method, to really just maximize the gameplay that the player gets, because I think they realized that their creation engine just couldn't do a seamless takeoff from ground up into space. So that's my take right now on terms of the game engine and the instances. I don't hate that you can't fly your ship on ground level. I wish you could, but I'm okay with it, I guess. Like, I'm okay with that being a limitation, given the fact that you can fast travel. The key is you got to temper your expectations, because I did not expect to have this limitation of not being able to fly my ship around the planet's surface or into space, like right up into space. Another downside with Starfield, I think, is the combat AI. And I think the best way to show this is probably just doing a combat mission, which we will do later. We'll do a foot combat mission, or at least go kill some guys. So besides the UI, there have been some rather silly bugs. There have been some rather silly bugs. Let me go ahead and see if I can find one. I meant to go. Here's one. Okay. All right, so here's one of the silliest bug I probably found so far. Let's go ahead and just take these objectives down for a moment, and we'll go ahead and minimize that so you can see this. Okay, so one of the characters was outside my ship, in front of my ship, in just literally like floating there, flying in front of my ship while I was fighting another ship too. I don't know. That was one of my favorite bugs that happened. I had a few other ones that were pretty ground or game breaking types of experiences. But generally speaking, bugs don't happen all the time inside of the game. So it really wasn't like a huge deal breaker for me with the bugs. I was generally speaking, I'd say I was very immersed in the game. But you just have these occasionally insanely silly moments, like characters flying through the walls, or like someone. Probably the worst bug was I had a character that was dying. One of the main characters was dying on the ground, and another character was consoling them, and they were standing up, and then they were teleporting down and holding them, and then their dead body was jerking around. It was just really like ragdoll physics, kind of hilarious. But yeah, so right now I'm running this game with my CPU on boost mode in Synapse. Let me see if I can show you my Synapse settings here. Let me hide this. So right now I'm in custom mode, boost mode, and that's why my CPU temps are so high. If I go to balanced mode, my temps and this will also go down, but the CPU wattage pull right up here will be much less. In boost mode, it gets up to like 80, 90 watts sometimes, but in balance mode, it's like only like 45 to 60 watts at most usually. And so temps stay really, really well balanced in balance mode, and the fan noise is quieter. I played most of my time in Starfield with balance mode, but for the sake of this review, I figured I could probably just run it at max for maximum performance, because that is the best CPU setting on this laptop to get the most performance. So I wanted to talk about, let's see, we're going to pull up the list so you guys can see everything that we're going to talk about. Okay, so why I fell in love with Starfield. Okay, so one of the biggest reasons why I fell in love with Starfield is the storytelling, probably. I think the storytelling in this game is phenomenal. The main quest is creative yet grounded, with I have studied a bit of physics. I took astronomy class in college. I took science courses, philosophy courses, and there's a lot of interesting theoretical physics about how the universe may have came about, multi-dimensional type stuff that may actually be true. And this game's main storyline certainly explores that vein of thought and consideration. And basically the main story really just sucked me in, and it felt like I was in like a legitimate like movie or novel where I can make decisions and affect the game world and the end result of the story. There are multiple endings for Starfield, and it's designed to be played in a loop. So you can finish the main story. Realistically, I could have finished it probably in 20 hours of gameplay if I just focused on the main story and nothing else. Maybe even 15 hours, I don't know. And at that point, when you reach the end of the main story, you can choose to loop the story and start over. And I did not loop the story because you lose all of your progress except for your character skills, is my understanding. I have not looped the story yet, but as far as I know, you lose your ships, you lose any outposts or empire you've created, you say goodbye to your current setup, and you have to basically start fresh again, like a lot of the new game plus type game modes that a lot of games have. And when you do start fresh, there are changes in the game world, new decisions you can make as a character because you're starting again. And so I love that. And I do plan on probably restarting fresh again soon after, like sometime soon here, so that I can access those new game features and then build a whole empire in this new game plus type of environment, which has, like I said, more game features in general. So, so yeah, I think one of the key things for me about why I loved the game is the characters. There's a lot of characters in this game, and Drazia is one of the main characters that you can interact with. You can talk to the main characters, and
I appreciate your willingness to listen.
And like there are so many heart-to-hearts. There are so many heart-to-hearts in this game.
Some unsettling memories.
Look at her. She's going over past trauma with you. I mean, you can choose to like skip all of this dialogue if you do not care about it, but I think this is one of the beautiful aspects of Starfield is the detailed character interactions that you can have. And so right here, she just gave me like like a truth bomb about her the last time I talked to her that was very shocking to me as a player, and I was very like surprised about it, right? And you can choose to romance the characters in this game as well. So if you're mean to her, she's not going to be very interested in romancing you, right? If you're nice to her, you're comforting to her, then maybe the romance options will keep opening up and you can keep developing a relationship with that person. And I believe you can basically get into a committed relationship in this game, though I've not done the full romance arc yet at this time, just because I haven't had enough time to explore it. But it's cool. Honestly, I was doing a romance arc, and then the game had me choose whether or not I wanted that person to live or die. And I could choose to save the mission or let them live. And I chose to save the mission because that's probably what that person would have wanted. And then they died and I lost them. And so it was actually really sad. Because it was like the person that I had talked to a lot in the game. And each time you play through the game, you can choose a different companion that you can bond with. So each iteration of your birth or what rebirth or whatever, I'll back out of this. You can basically pick a new companion to take with you on your series of missions, and each companion has different lines for each side quest. So some of these companions are like more okay with doing bad stuff because they have a history of doing bad stuff, and other companions are like goody goods and they don't like doing bad stuff and they'll approve or disapprove of what you do. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, but overall I really like the companion system. And you can see that your companion system here is actually really complex, and there are a lot of different companions. Now, I have not recruited everyone to potentially be companions here that I can recruit, and you can actually utilize the skills of each companion as well on your starship or on your outposts. So it's a very cool system. I have not really dived into the companion system 100% yet, but I will. So this is actually my spaceship. It's a modified version of the Star Eagle, which is one of the ships that you get for completing a side quest. So right now I am currently doing 53 FPS, and my CPU is only doing 38 watts. Right? My GPU is not being fully utilized, only 137 watts going through that CPU, and sometimes only 80 to 90% utilization. Now, if I were to go in here and switch, I'm going to switch in Synapse. I'm going to make it boost mode. Let's see what kind of FPS we get with boost mode. It might not be too much of a gain. Looks like we gained about 4 FPS from switching to the high CPU performance mode. And it is something I would recommend because it will improve your 1% lows if you can set your CPU in your gaming laptop to the max. Anyway, so why I fell in love with Starfield, it's a combination of great storytelling, interesting enough world building. The world building is really well done. The environments are detailed and interesting, and then the characters in particular, I think, are the most important aspects. I love the character tree, which is one of the topics we're going to talk about in detail. This is the character tree, and there are a ton of skills you can level up. They build on top of each other. There's spaceship skills, science skills, combat skills, social skills, and physical skills, and we'll go into detail and break down the skills that I think are most important, as well as just taking a look at what's available. All right. So the question of will you like Starfield, I think, is a very interesting question. And I think it comes down to, are you a sci-fi nut? Are you okay, like literally just chatting with the other characters in this game are mainly almost like sci-fi nerds in embodiment of them. Do you like the idea of exploring interesting worlds, cataloging creatures, fighting pirates, blowing up spaceships, or like disabling them and boarding them, or exploring outposts, getting crazy weapons from just like looting, upgrading your weapons through crafting, building your own spaceship, upgrading that through not only the spaceship parts that you can slowly unlock and get more access to, but also through your skill tree, because the skills that you upgrade will influence how far you can travel, how powerful your weapons are, how efficient your spaceship is, and what parts are available. Like the spaceship engineering, so our Starship design here will allow you to install more advanced spaceship modules. So, like, there's a extremely intricate system here for Starfield gameplay that I fell in love with. But it took a long time for me to really grasp all of the different systems, from the inventory management, that was clunky, to the fast travel, to the UI stuff. There's a lot to figure out and a lot to learn. And so if you're a person who's just like, you want to get in it for action and you just want to go kill stuff, that's all you're really there for, you can play Starfield and probably have a good time blowing up ships and killing pirates and doing the main story and just skipping all the dialogues and just doing the activities. But you're probably not going to love Starfield. That kind of person is probably just going to be like, oh, this is like a solid 6 out of 10 game, 7 out of 10 game. It's really not amazing if you're not a sci-fi nut or nerd like me. Like, I've read probably 200 sci-fi novels. I have watched so many different sci-fi shows, and I've played so many different sci-fi games, and I think this may be my favorite sci-fi game of all time. So, like, I absolutely have fallen in love with this game, but I have not played it enough to know for sure if it's my favorite of all time or not. But it's obviously not my favorite for Spaceship. It's not a spaceship simulator, but in terms of, like, running around on the ground and doing stuff meaningfully and having an emotional tie-in and a great progression system, I mean, I'm in. Like, I've been playing this game 8-9 hours a day just to be able to beat it. Since it's only been out for like 5 days, right? So I've been playing it a lot to get 50 hours in only 5 days. So yeah. Do I recommend Starfield? Yes. But I don't think everyone's going to love this game. Only people who are into the whole sci-fi nerddom will love this game. That's basically, or people who just, people who are just want an action experience in sci-fi. It's not really an arcadey action experience in sci-fi. So this town is probably the most difficult to run, except for maybe Aquila. Aquila is maybe a little bit more difficult to run. You can see the 1% low stutters are pretty severe in this area. So far, we're averaging, again, we're on ultra settings, but this is DLS on balanced ultra settings right now. And, you know, we're in the 60 to 70 FPS range with 40 for our 1% lows right now. It's very playable. Obviously, if you go down to low settings, you get a lot more FPS. Typically, whoa, the FSR right now is really bad. DLSS is really bad for some reason on low. I don't know if you, that's interesting. That must be the new performance mod, because I've not seen that. Anyway. Yeah, ultra settings are the way to go in the city, because we didn't really change much on our FPS because we're so CPU bound with all these NPCs. So that's the key to keep in mind, is that when you're inside of a city area, that it's going to be extremely CPU bound. Now, I'll take you to the other extremely CPU bound area of the map here. So in Cheyenne, this is one of the main side quest areas. This is like the country wild west town of Aquila. So Aquila is one of my favorite systems to go to buy loot or sell my stuff, because there's a couple shops pretty close to the starport area, where New Visions or whatever doesn't have that. So you can see the FPS in this area, we're only getting 59, 60. And we are in boost mode right now as well. So we are in Synapse in boost mode. I'll reset my FPS counter. Right here, there's always stutters as you load it into this area. 17 for 1% lows is pretty brutal. So yeah, but at least it's playable on ultra settings. And when you go to the Outpost, where there's a lot less NPCs, you get way better FPS into like the 80 to 120 range, depending on what you're looking at and what you're doing. It's much more playable. So that's the main thing I would say. And also, in terms of graphics, I would say keeping this dynamic resolution, you can keep that off if you wish. I probably would recommend that if you get enough FPS in these low areas, but if you're struggling with your FPS in these low areas, dynamic resolution may help, but maybe not if you're CPU bound anyway. I don't know. In general, I would turn it off though, because I'm pretty sure that's what would happen why everything was so fuzzy on low settings. Let me try that again now. So if we go to display, let's go to low. Yeah, so low with dynamic resolution off. Everything is still pretty dang fuzzy. I think it's that performance mod that I added, because it wasn't like that before I added the performance mod. Okay. So, anyway, so this is one of the main cities, and this is one of the headquarters right here. In Aquila for the Freestar Rangers, which is one of the core side quests. So this is a building that's kind of like a police force of special operatives that have special jurisdiction and abilities. And these people can give you missions. Here's a mission board right here. So if I want to go fight people, then I can go fight people. You can do a rescue mission. There's a lot of different potential options. And notice that, like, since we changed instances, we're no longer so many NPCs. Our FPS went through the roof up to 85, and our 1% lows are also better too. So it's much smoother in almost every other area except the main parts of the city. Okay, so let me go ahead and check chat for a moment. What laptops is the Blade 18? Okay, so there's a lot of questions around. Never thought I'd hear about theoretical physics in gaming reviews. LOL. Okay, nice. Yeah, so let's talk. Let's go ahead and move on to how much GPU performance do you really need to have a great experience, right? So the thing is, this game is. Let me turn this on. There we go. And we'll go ahead and close my objectives so we can just focus on the gameplay as well while I do this. So if you want to have decent FPS in these like dense environment areas, the best thing you can do is to have a desktop with the i9-13900K. Like, that's the best CPU right now for these densely populated areas. I'm sure there'll be more mods that'll come out. Honestly, just reducing the number of NPCs is probably the #1 thing you can do to boost FPS in this area. And I believe there is a crowd density. So you can go to low on crowd density. I don't know if that'll actually help us because but that would be the #1 thing I would change or recommend changing. Changing your crowd density will help most likely because, like I said, these areas are very CPU bound. So if you want the most improvement to your performance, upgrade your CPU, get the highest end performance. Either probably the best laptop CPU is going to be the i9-13900HX or better, or because those have highest clock speeds. 13980HX is obviously going to be the best. Also, the Ryzen 9 7945HX 3D will also be quite good. Though in hardware unboxed CPU benchmarks, Intel CPUs were ahead in this game by a large margin, at like 12 to 15%, depending on the resolution. So it's certainly likely to translate to laptops as well, that Intel CPUs will probably perform a little better in this game for the CPU bound areas. In the GPU bound areas, which are going to be like the not city centers, the rural parts of the country, or potentially in space, those types of areas, the CPU will matter a lot less. And that's really where a lot of the combat's going to be. Ultimately, what you want for your CPU is a high clock speed and at least like 6 cores or more, is my understanding. And so if you have 6 cores or more, really I think 4 cores is all you really need, but if you want to have any multitasking capability, then you really want 6 or more, and as high a clock speed as you can, with obviously the best cache that you can in the CPU as well, because that's important for these CPU bound areas. And both the i9 CPU and the Ryzen 9 7945HX 3D CPUs are going to have the best of those two worlds. That said, if you just go with the Ryzen 9 7940HS, like what's in the Zephyrus G14, you're going to get good enough performance on low, but it's going to be more like probably 45 to 40 like 40 to 50 FPS in these types of cities instead of 60 FPS for those CPU bound areas, at least on low settings. All right, so how much GPU do you need? That's a tough question. Now, I did do a performance comparison between a bunch of different laptops, 5 different laptops from an RTX 4050 up to a 4090, and the 4050 on low settings was okay. But the thing about that review you've got to keep in mind is that I did not use the DLSS mod. And I think that is probably the most grievous thing that the devs did in Starfield, is not include the mod, or not include DLSS support. Now, there is DLSS frame gen mod and DLSS 2.0 basically mod, and I'm using the DLSS 2.0 mod. So if I was using the frame gen mod, I would expecting my FPS to be more like 100 right now, with in cities probably being 75 to 80, 90, something like that. And then with frame gen, I'm probably expecting more like 120 plus in the more rural areas. So yeah, like with the frame gen support, this game would have been so much better on RTX 4000 series laptops and desktops. And I just can't believe the devs didn't include it, and that developers have already released mods. Before the game was released, there was already a DLSS mod. That's how easy it was for a modder to enable it. And we're going to go through how to set that up. So quickly, how much CPU, GPU performance do you need? What if you're going to build a custom desktop for this? I would go for a 6 or 8 core CPU or better, but basically you really want to focus on the highest clock speed across multiple cores at once. That's what's going to give you the most performance in this game in the CPU bound areas. For GPU performance, if you want to play QHD resolution on ultra setting, well, if you want to play 1080p or QHD, you really want to get an RTX 4080 or better if you want to play on ultra settings. And especially if you were to use the frame gen mod, then maybe things would open up, I guess, at the 1080p level, especially for the 4050, 4060, 4070. And if you're okay with low settings, and honestly, I've been playing on low settings quite a bit in my Starfield gameplay. Low settings looks good in my opinion. Like right now we're doing 75 FPS. Low settings doesn't look good right now because of the performance mod I added. So that's the only thing, right? So I can't really show what low settings look like right now because of that. But low settings, in my opinion, in this game look pretty dang close, at least with its unmodded low settings. And it does improve FPS like 20-30%. It doesn't really improve it that much, but it does help give an edge, especially in really demanding areas. So how much CPU, GPU do you need? If you want the ideal ultra level experience, or at least close enough to it, RTX 4080 or 90 in laptops is what you need. For a desktop, probably a 4070 Ti is probably like your ideal starting point. Or RTX 4080 or 4090, or maybe an RTX 3090 would also be or 3090 Ti for a desktop would also probably be very good performance at QHD levels. But realistically, you really want to make sure you have a good CPU as well. So how do you get more FPS? Mods is one of the main ways you can improve your FPS in Starfield for sure. And we're going to go through basically how you get your mods, how to get mods, and there'll be links in the description. I did not add links right now into the description, but I will at the end of this live stream. I'll slap those links in there so that you can easily find the mods and go to them. But real quick, let's go ahead and go over where you go to get your mods and how, a brief tutorial. I'll do a brief tutorial on how to set up your mods as well in this game. Okay, so we're going to go to, so what you're going to want to do is go to nexusmods.com. All right. And the first thing you'll want to do is get this. Let me just make sure this is good. You're capturing. It looks like it's capturing all right. So you'll want to download Vortex. This is a mod manager, the official mod manager for Nexus Mods. You just do a manual download on this. You download it. All right. Then you're going to want to get the Starfield Upscaler mod, or you can go for the frame generation supported mod. The reason why I did not go for the frame gen supported mod, and I may not recommend it right now, is that I was looking through the reviews on that mod and there was a lot of people crashing a lot. So if you're okay with crashing fairly often, then consider it, but I hate losing progress. So I was like, I'm just going to skip the frame gen mod for right now until they work out the bugs. And so, basically you download this Starfield Upscaler. And if you look at the instructions here, you're going to want to install this Upscaler base plugin. There'll be a link to it right here. And here's the Upscaler plugin. And this is also going to link you to the NVIDIA DLSS DLL, which basically is the NVIDIA driver to run DLSS. So you download the NVIDIA DLSS DLL. And you're going to need all three of these things in order to get the mod to work. So once you've downloaded Vortex, you install that. And here's my Vortex right here. All right. To get the Starfield Upscaler mod, you just hit download with Vortex. You click slow download. It'll download this and it'll prompt you can click open Vortex. I'm not going to click it now because I already installed it. But when you click that, it'll automatically put it in here. So to use Vortex, you basically just need to download and install Vortex. Then you're going to go to your games. You're going to manage Starfield, which will basically tell the Vortex where to install the mods. You just basically click detect Starfield, and usually it'll find it automatically. And once you're managing Starfield, which is pretty easy to do, then you go to the Vortex. Then you go to the nexusmods.com, you download the Starfield Upscaler mod, you install that, and Vortex will automatically install it. To manage your mods, to enable or disable them, you go to the mods section here on the left. Then you go into, and you can see right now I have Starfield optimizations and Starfield Upscaler activated. Okay, so you're going to install this. Now, if you add these things without doing the second half, your game won't run. Starfield literally broke at this point, so I was like, okay, I need to do more things. Then I went and found the instructions, which are right here. So you download the NVIDIA DLSS DLL, and you place them into the mods Upscaler base plugin folder. So you go to your program files, you go to Steam, you go to Steam Apps, Common, and then Starfield. And then underneath mods, there'll be the Upscaler base plugin. And right here, I've copied in the NVIDIA DLSS driver. And I also installed, I believe I had to install the Upscaler. Yeah, I installed the Upscaler mod, or Starfield Upscaler mod right here. So basically, I'm pretty sure that's all you had to do. As long as you've got the Upscaler base plugin folder there and you copy in the NVIDIA DLSS. Yeah, and so if you need to, you can, like if there is no Upscaler base plugin folder, you'll need to just download this mod add-on as well and just click Vortex. It'll create that folder for you. And then you just copy in this DLSS DLL into there. And then you should be able to run Starfield with DLSS. Now, once you're into Starfield, you press the end button, END, and on the Razer blade, it's FN plus the right arrow key, and it pulls up the Starfield Upscaler settings. That's the hotkey, and there it is right there. And you can see the upscaled resolution and settings that you can set up right there, okay? So to close that window, you just press the end key again, and it gets rid of that. And I gotta say, I probably saw a 25 to 30% uplift by using DLSS instead of FSR, and the image quality is also better at the same time. So I'm very upset with the Starfield devs that they didn't include DLSS out of the box. That's basically, that I had to go spend a half hour of my time figuring out how to mod this thing. It's just really annoying. Now, if you want to install any other mods while you're at it, you like the Starfield Performance Optimizations mod, you just, again, go here, click download and go to Vortex. And this optimizes the ultra settings, making them a little bit less demanding, a little bit less difficult to run. So let's go to the Starfield mod section. This is where you can get a ton of different mods. And I have big hope right now. I have big hope for Starfield that it's going to be continually improved either through devs or through mod effort. And I do think that we're likely to see some massively awesome mods. Like we are already seeing like some gameplay mods about like changing how much damage you do so that there's, you know, you can instantly kill people and be instantly killed. So you have to be very careful how you move. There's UI mods. Right now, the most popular mod is this Star UI mod. I have not tried it yet, but apparently it's improved the UI for your inventory and other places. There's going to be so many mods for this game. In the same way there has been so many mods for Skyrim, there will eventually be thousands of mods for Starfield, and many of them are going to really enhance the gameplay. And I probably the biggest mod I'm looking forward to is maybe like some mods regarding space combat, because right now space combat is not very challenging. It's one of the downsides of it. And I really want some Starfield mods to like give me some really challenging scenarios that you run into out in the world. I want some open world gameplay. Right now, when I get an open world gameplay, you know, I'm like, I'll get in my ship, I'll go from system to system, and you know, maybe I'll run into 1, 2, or maybe 3 pirates at once. Like, and I can almost always blow them up. No problem. You know, but like, if I want to, you know, if I want to go into systems and get like 10 pirates after me, like I can't do that. And I would love it if like you started blowing up pirates. They start, I wish that they would basically call in reinforcements and suddenly you have like 5 more guys coming or something. I don't know. I just want to have a challenging gameplay experience in space and not a super easy one. Because once you get a modded, customized starship, like I can basically blow anybody up very quickly and easily. Now, so these are some of my crew members right now. I've got Barrett, and you can talk to just about anybody.
This looks a lot less like a mind-bending experience of space and time, and more like us hanging around like we always do. Although, seeing as how you left me behind, I guess my expectations were a little low.
So these characters, they'll let you know when they're ready to talk to you. They'll like say, hey, can I get a word with you when you have a second? I recommend not talking to them in the middle of combat because it just doesn't make sense. Because you're like, usually when someone comes up to you and says, hey, I want to talk to you, it means that they want to have a heart-to-heart or have something important to tell you or talk to you about. And usually it's a pretty interesting character interaction. So I do like these character interactions, but some people aren't going to like them, right? If you're not immersed into the story or you don't like this character, you just skip that dialogue part and you move on with your life. So anyway, probably one of the biggest things I think that Starfield could improve on is just, I want to be able to get in my pilot seat and I want to be able to just take off and I want to see the view from my pilot seat in particular. Okay, so like when I take off here, usually it goes to a third-party window here, third-person view, and I would rather be sitting there in my seat seeing me take off and leave the atmosphere, rather than this third-party one. Now notice there's some flickering around the exhaust. I think that's because of the DLSS mod or the performance enhancing mod. So we're in space. This is another instance of space. If we wanted to get into some space combat, we would probably want to go to Seoul. Right now I'm in the pirate right now I'm in the Pirate League or whatever you want to call it. And so the pirates actually won't attack me. Most pirates won't attack me, at least. So this allows me to jump from system to system. Now, one thing I will say is that it is possible to jump from star system to star system without using that overlay. Okay, so jumping into Venus, I'm probably going to run into some enemies here, but I'm not seeing anybody right now. So now when you're in space, you can actually shoot and blow up these asteroids, and then you can take the minerals. You have to get within 500 meters of them. And I get 10 water and 5 tetrafluorides. Little asteroids are easier to blow up, and they give less resources. But this is one way to get some resources if you want to collect them. One of the gameplay loops, honestly, it's not a very efficient way of getting resources. If you want resources, really what you want to do is set up outposts and mine them with extractors and everything. Now, if you wanted to land on any of these planets, let's say we wanted to land on Venus, I could go to this. So what I did is I pressed tab. All right. I pressed tab and I clicked on the top left for the star map. This will show you your planet that you're currently next to. And there are two instances that you can land at that are pre-existing, but you can also just pick anywhere on the planet, typically, and land there just with a left click. Just with a left click, and then it sets up a waypoint and you can land. And every instance that you land in Starfield, there will be stuff to do, even if it's not a marked area.
Site is clear. Descent started.
So we're landing now on Venus, and there should be some stuff for us to do. All right, so if we wanted to get up, if we wanted to make this more immersive, we can get up and just stay in first person a bit more, run through my ship and run out the back. I'll show you why I don't do that by doing it once here. So it just takes more time, basically. Okay, so Andresia wants to talk to me, but I'm not gonna talk to her right now because it's gonna be spoiler stuff probably. So right now we're on Venus. I've got several different weapons that we can use in this, including a sniper rifle. This is probably my best weapon right now. It's a Tesla boosted lawgiver that does 278 damage, but when you're in space, it does a lot more damage than when you're on a planet. Plus 30% more damage while in space, minus 15 while on a planet. So 45% more damage when you're in space. So right here on this planet, you can see we've got a ship that just landed over here, and we could go attack that ship and try to commandeer it. That's one of the things that we can do. We can also use our scanner and look around and see that there's a waypoint over there. There's another unknown waypoint over there. Another place over there. So I'd say the closest one looks like it's going to be this one. So we'll run over here. Now, when you're actually running on a planet's surface, what you're going to want to do is sprint until the bottom left over here, until you run out of air. So right now I'm pretty low on air. And now I'm going to do my boost, and that's going to let my air rejuvenate for a little bit. Then I'm going to sprint while my boost goes up, and now I'm going to walk until my boost and let my air go up, and I'm going to jump, and I'm going to boost. And you want to try to use the right type of backpack when you're doing this, otherwise you're going to have a problem. Notice that we're getting 98 FPS right now on this barren planet. This is a lot less NPCs. We're definitely more GPU bound than CPU bound compared to when we're in a city like this. And notice that there's quite a few facilities around here. So there's a facility over there. There's a building over there. There's quite a few buildings over here. So we're gonna keep running this way. That might be a spaceship right there. I don't think that's a spaceship. Deserted robotics lab is what we've stumbled upon. We got 20 XP for just discovering this location. And looks like the pirates have taken this over. Now, if these pirates are friendlies, I won't be able to fight them because I'm technically in the pirate faction right now. But if they are one of the other sub-pirate factions, like I'm part of the Ghost Fleet or whatever you want to call it. If they're part of Varun, then I'll be able to fight them. If they're not part of Varun, yeah, these guys are the part of my pirate faction, so they're not going to be.
Credits keep rolling in. Life's good.
They're not going to be enemies for me. I'm pretty sure I could even try killing them here. Let me go ahead and save it, and I'll just start killing them. I don't think that they'll even fight me. Yeah, it's crazy. I can just start killing them, and they won't even fight me right now. This is one of the AI things that's pretty silly and is a bit bugged right now. Eventually they will. Now look at this. This guy's got a legendary weapon, actually. That's really lucky. So you can loot everybody you kill. You can loot them. So a titanium rip shank is actually, this is only worth 1,000. Usually legendary weapons are worth more than that. So yeah, pretty silly right now that I'm not getting any enemies to attack me. If I remember correctly, last time I did this, I could only get one of the guys to actually kill me, which was the boss guy. Once you start killing the boss guy, every outpost has a boss that's more difficult to kill. Once you start killing that guy, all of the enemies will turn on you. It's weird you can kill these underlings. This is one of the bugs and one of the combat issues right now with with Starfield. Like, this guy died and he's just sitting there. Anyway, so I was hoping to demonstrate ground combat, but in order to do that, I probably have to load one of these old saves. Let's see here. I'm pretty sure I demonstrated ground combat in one of the older ones. But yeah, how bad are the bugs? Occasionally they're game breaking like that scenario. But usually it's not that bad. Okay, so here we are. We're in a ground combat scenario. So basically right there, I did a 0G environment, which caused this Varun Zealot to jump up in the air. This is I think this was before I got the legendary sniper, so we got this is like a high-end revolver right here. Should do a lot of damage to these guys. And a lot of the weapons have special damage multipliers on them or elemental effects that it'll shock an enemy. Like this one should shock them. I'm gonna boost up there in a second. So you can see I'm shocking them right now. That prevents them from attacking you. They actually almost killed me. I'm very low health right now. Usually the more difficult to kill enemy, like this was one of the captains basically of this base, they'll carry a more valuable item and have credits on them and extra stuff. So I just got an epic poison calibrated Equinox laser rifle. And if I want to see how much that's worth, I can pop in my inventory. And there it is right there, 5,590 credits. Just for killing one guy and grabbing it. Now, when you go to sell it, it'll actually probably only sell for like 20% of what you got here. So that's actually one of the skills and important things to level up is the commerce one, which will give you big bonuses when you sell these items. So yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to the skills section overview. in more detail. So in general, I would say that the ground combat is all right. It's fun in the sense that you like go through. It's like a looter shooter. It's usually not that challenging, but you can go into the gameplay settings and change it to hard or very hard difficulty. And then you really need to like have good skills, good weapons, good armor, all of that. Otherwise, you're just probably going to die because the enemies turn into such big bullet sponges that it's like you shoot like 10 clips into someone to kill them, like literally. So if you don't have a good weapon and good stuff on you, and that's another one of the kind of downsides of the game. It just kind of feels like it's balanced by making enemies super hard to kill and making you easy to kill, or enemies medium or low if you go to like easy or normal. It's not really balanced based on like skill levels or like numbers of enemies, which like if you go to, I don't know, the ground combat, I give overall like a 6 or a 7 out of 10. But it's really, this game is not about like playing the ground combat for 1,000 hours or something, right? This game is really about doing the side quests and the main story missions and the replayability that those have, because you can be a good person, you can be a bad person, you can try to complete you can complete the missions, the same mission, like 5 different ways sometimes. You can do it by force, you can do it through persuasion, you can do it through theft, you can do it through violence, or you can just talk and then blackmail the person, or there's a lot of different dialogue options that you have. They do, depending on which side like a lot of the side quests allow you to become evil or good, and depending on who you side with, the outcome of your quest will affect the world differently. And it will affect the world differently until you reset the world by fully completing the main story, which is one of the reasons why I fell in love with the game, because so much replayability. Now, another reason why I love the game is, look at this. Like you can, all of these stuff with blue outlines, you can take this, you could loot this if you wanted to. And a lot of this stuff, you might need circuit boards for creating outposts. So you might want to grab that. You might not. I don't know. Some of this stuff is relevant, some of it's not. But in general, I usually don't grab stuff unless I know that it's a resource item, or it's ammo, or it's a weapon, armor, or pack item. I no longer am grabbing food because food doesn't really heal you very much, realistically. So, but I just love this environment. Like, look at the graphics in this are awesome. The environmental design is awesome. Everything looks dirty. It looks lived in. There's stuff everywhere. And you could loot this, but it's probably not worth the wait to pick it up. That's the general tip I would give you regarding inventory management. Is you want to look at how much value you get from each item. So let's do tips for inventory section right now. So right now I've got 160 mass out of 155, which means I'm overweight. It means I need to lose some weight, basically. And right now, spaceships are space suits are the heaviest item. This thing weighs 13, so if I wanted to just drop this one, I can just drop it, and now I'm underweight again. That said, that spacesuit was worth 13,000 credits, so I don't really want to drop that one because it's worth so much. So instead, I'm going to go in here and I'm going to look at this one. These weapons are 3,600. I'm looking for a weapon that weighs a lot and doesn't have too much value. And so this one's only a 1-to-1, this Orion. It's 5 mass over here on the right. You can see how much mass it is. It's 5.25 mass. It's only 5,000 credits. It's like a 1-to-1 ratio of mass to value. And really, like a lot of these other ones have, like, this one's like a 3-to-1 value of mass to value. So I would say you're gonna want to drop the things that don't have good value versus mass when you're doing your inventory management, because that'll let you sell the items for the most profit when you get back home. So now, regarding inventory management, there's some other tips. I would say it's crucial. I wish I had done this sooner, but getting this weightlifting perk, I didn't start upgrading this until like I was like level 25 or something. But when you can get this to maximum, it gives you 100 kilograms of extra weight carrying capacity, which is really helpful. In addition, I did get this spacesuit right here that was very helpful. And honestly, I've kept using it this whole time I've played. Even now, I'm still using it, even though it doesn't have very good defensive stats. It has this plus 40 carry capacity. So you can get space suits, packs, and helmets, I believe, that have additional carry capacity perks to them. And this is one of them. So if you're going to do a lot of mining, resource gathering, looting, whatever, what you want to do is have items that increase your carry capacity so that you can carry more back to your ship. Now, the key thing is when you're overweight, you cannot fast travel. And basically what this means is that if you wanted to fast travel, you can't do it. Like you can't fast travel out of a facility anyway. You need to be in the same instance as your ship. Then you can fast travel to your ship or fast travel out of the solar system. But as long as you're in the same instance that your ship exists in, then fast traveling to another solar system is possible on foot. So if I was trying to leave this environment to be able to just go home and go on to the next mission, what I would want to do first is, well, let's see here. Can I fast travel out of here? I don't think I'll be able to, but let's try it. I mean, I can just try going to any other world here. And yeah, okay, so I must be already in the same instance as my ship. So boom, fast traveling to another world because I'm not overweight. Now that I'm in my ship again, what you do is you go to your inventory screen, and as long as you're on board your ship, you can access the cargo hold. I can press Q. The button is going to be down here in the bottom right. Let me just go over here so I make sure you guys are seeing this. You can press Q to go to your cargo hold, and here you can swap items from your inventory. You press Q again, and now I'm looking at that Varun space suit, and I can put that into my cargo hold very quickly. And my cargo hold is also huge, 2,200 cargo hold. And I can access anything from my cargo hold, including all of my weapons. You know, if you've got like expensive, nice weapons, then you can move those back into your inventory if you want to use them. But this is really great for weight management. So once you unloaded everything that's heavy, like I want to get rid of all these weapons, let's say. All right, so we'll just keep my 2 legendary weapons in my inventory so I'm ready to loot again. I've got a whole bunch of mass available. Now, what I can do is I can go to, I can fast travel to a port. Let's go to, we'll fast travel to Aquila for this example, which is in Cheyenne. So once I fast travel to a port, I can then sell my items that I've transferred into my ship's cargo. So this is basically the looting loop that you do, the gameplay loop. You go into an outpost, you kill all the dudes, you gather all the resources, you do whatever you want to do. You fill up your inventory on your person. Then you get in the same instance as your starship, and you fast travel to your ship, or you fast travel to another system, like Aquila. So I could have fast traveled straight from that pirate base over here into Aquila. Now that we're in Aquila, we can go ahead and go sell our loot directly from the ship's cargo hold. So now that I've got, I go over here to the shop guy. Now that I've got all this stuff in my cargo hold, I can go ahead and sell it. So you go to Q, sell. And you have to press Q again to sell from ship inventory. And now here's all those weapons we just gathered from the pirate base. Right, here's that poison shotty worth 1,765 credits. Boom. So we can grab all these. Now we can only sell so many credits, and then the vendor runs out of credits. All right. And so basically, to get the vendor to have more credits, you need to have 1 day of game time elapse. And then you'll be able to basically sell to them again. Now you can use, usually this guy's not sitting here, he's usually standing. You can usually sit in that chair. I'm gonna go ahead and sit in this chair. All right, and now that I'm sitting in this chair, If I want to, I can choose to wait, and you just wait the 24 hours that it takes for the vendor to refresh their credits, and then you can sell to the vendor again. So essentially, that's one way to do it. Another way to do it, if I go to, let's go ahead and load back to my advanced load. The best place, as you eventually get to unlock the area, the best place to sell your stuff is actually in the key, which is in the Chris star system. The key has like 4 different vendors that all will have credits every time you refresh and go there. So if I back out and we go to the Crix, it's the Crix system, and we go to the key over here. All right, so we're gonna do a jump to the Crix system in the key. This is a pirate home base. This is only gonna be available to you if you're in the pirate faction. So from a looting and selling standpoint, being part of the pirate faction is quite advantageous because you'll be able to just sell your stuff much quicker. So I'm gonna go ahead and board the pirate station here. And we're going to run over here. And we're going to go over to the vendors here. And this is where you're going to sell, like right here, here's a vendor, here's a vendor, here's a vendor, and here's a vendor. So there's 4 different vendors that will all have...
I hope you came with credits.
They all have credits. This one has 12,000 credits. So you could sell a lot of stuff from your Starship to this one vendor, more so than most of the vendors. Now, another way you can make money if you want to go be a thief is you can become a pickpocket by crouching down. And I actually have a cloaking ability on my armor that lets me cloak. And then I can pickpocket the vendor. And interesting, you can't actually take the credits of the vendor. I wonder if that was patched. There was an ability to steal the credits off of the vendors. Let's see if we can steal them off of this vendor. It'd be interesting. Yeah, so you can't pickpocket off of these vendors, which is really interesting. So you do have to actually try now. But there was an exploit where you could basically nab a crap ton of credits very quickly by stealing from the vendors, refreshing, and then stealing a new round from all the vendors. A lot of people got a lot of credits from that. I did not do that to get my credits. I currently, if you can see here, I've got 336,000 credits, which we're going to use in the Starship Builder here when I do the Starship Builder tutorial. Now, I really want to pull up the chat so I can be more interactive with you guys. Okay. All right, so let me go ahead and get the chat pulled up on my phone. That's what I'm going to do. Give me 1 second, guys. There we go. Mute this. Perfect. What's up, Ghost? Okay. LSP says, I'm one of those fast-paced, aggressive players. Good combat is criteria of better game design. Seeing that AI is naive is disappointing, probably skewed by playing Doom games. Yeah, so this game is no Doom. It's not really even a good competitor with a shooter like Doom, because Doom has good AI for interacting with enemies and everything. But I would say this is a much more fun looter RPG experience than Doom, for sure. Okay. All right, so I've got chat pulled up. Just so you guys know. All right, now I am going to check the next item on the list. So this is all the things we're going to go over. Graphical quality in the game, I think, is really good. It says it's competitive with other games. The problem is just the graphical quality for the amount of performance hardware you need is not that great. That's the problem I have with it. And I really wish DLSS frame gen support was added, and I really hope that they patch it in after the fact. Star Wars Jedi Outcast or whatever, the recent Star Wars game, they recently added DLSS support. It did not launch with it. Now that it's got it, And that's massively going to help performance in that game. And so I really hope this game gets it after the fact. That's my hope, that it'll be integrated, especially frame gen support natively, because of this is CPU bound. Frame gen support would give us much better FPS in cities, as well as in extra environments, boosting our FPS into the high, super smooth FPS range. And smoothing out our 1% lows. Frame gen would help a lot with that as well. Now, sound design with this game, I think, is excellent. Like, the music in this is entrancing. The audio, the dialogue options, everyone's got something to say to you. You walk around a space station, you can talk to just about anybody, and they'll give you at least a little quip. But all of the main characters have really good dialogue options. And
Be sure you have
you
the
can
proper shielding for
you can
any
even
smuggling
ask them
jobs.
you can even ask them more at least all the main characters. You can ask them very personal questions and get to know them better and better. And as you keep taking them with you on missions, it'll get more and more interesting. Now,
To be honest with you about my past.
yeah, and this is a good example.
Your willingness to listen, but talking about this, remembering all the.
So yeah, there's a really detailed, and like if you pick one of these things that, like, let's say one of these things really offends her, then you can't take that back unless you go back to a previous save. She may hate you or no longer want to be your companion based on how you interact with her. So the RPG elements in this are really, really good. And the voice acting is excellent in this. Sometimes it's really awkward, this whole like zoom in on the character's face that the game does. Let me go and switch to this so you can see what I'm talking about. Like this whole like...
Is that it then? It has been a relief to be on, but...
When it zooms in, I like it, but one thing that I usually do, for me, like this can really slow down your gameplay just talking to people so much. So I ended up just looking at the subtitles and speed reading a lot of the dialogue options. So like, I think they're very good. It's well-written dialogue. The interaction is very well done. And it does lead to meaningful progression of character development, at least in the people that I've talked to. Now, if you're not a patient gamer, you're not going to want to deal with the dialogue because it's just not going to be worth it. Yeah. Okay. So, and a huge part of this is the world build.
Yes,
So
we are done.
a huge part of the game is the world building. And I do think it's really well done. Like the way they do the details in this like old pirate facility, like it's an unused pool table. And if you want, you could take the cue ball. There's cred sticks sticking here on the ground. I could steal this from whoever's they are. I don't know whose these are. If I go down... Okay, I just stole those cred sticks. No one got mad at me. That's good. But like, look at this. There's a place for pirates to work out, pirates to shoot. Like the environments are like eerie and mysterious, and the music goes together. And when you shoot guns, the gun sounds are interesting. There's all kinds of different weapons that you can use, laser weapons, and there's some really interesting weapons. There's like shotguns, there's fully automatic weapons, there's kind of auto aiming type weapons, there's melee weapons, and there are skill trees that integrate all of that together in one. But in general, I think the world building is just well done, mainly because of how expansive it is and how detailed it is and how well it integrates with everything else. You just feel like there's so much to explore, especially when you can just go land on any planet pretty much. You know, you can just pretty much land on any planet and get this crazy experience or interesting experience in all kinds of different environments and habs. So now we're on this ice planet, and you got to make sure you have a spacesuit that can handle the cold, because the cold environment is extremely. It can cause you hyperthermia, which can damage your character. And if you do things like jump in the air too high and then fall down, you can actually hurt yourself and cause yourself to have health conditions. Right now I have 2 health conditions. I'm freezing cold, seek shelter immediately. This will cause afflictions. So I don't have a warm enough suit for this environment. I have also currently have lung damage because I went into a gas vent, and this has been making me cough throughout this whole live stream. I don't know if you noticed, my character occasionally coughs, and I lose oxygen levels in the bottom left corner because I coughed. Now, in every environment, there will be alien creatures that you can scan, or most environments, not everyone, but most environments, there'll be resources, flora, fauna, and if you want to create an outpost, you're not going to be able to create an outpost on every single planet unless you have the proper skill upgrades for the more extreme condition planets. Oh, these guys are attacking me now. Okay, we're gonna have to kill some crabbies. So when you kill the critters, you actually get scanning data on them. So that's one way to get scanning data from a distance. That's a little tip for you. So yeah, it's nice that the critters have AI. There's a lot of interesting critters that you can run into. Probably my favorite critters that I've ran into, you know, again, we're talking about kind of world building right now. Alpha Centauri, the Jemison planet, there are a lot of interesting critters. If we go to Gizmo Town again, we'll go and land at my outpost, and we'll go run around for a moment on that planet because there's some really interesting characters there. Okay, so notice that the critters don't really come up to your outpost, but the more aggressive critters might actually come up and start damaging your stuff. And your outpost, you can actually farm the creatures. So here's one of there's like a dinosaur type critter over here. So we're going to go into Outpost a little more detail, but right now we're just doing the overview of the world building, and this kind of goes into the exploration as well. If you're exploring and you see a blue outline around something, that means you have not fully scanned it. You can see I'm 88% scanned. If I scan this, it goes to 100%, and now it gets a green outline. The green outline means that you have 100% scanned it, and now you can actually raise that item, that crop or thing, in your greenhouses at your outpost. So, and these things can put out, these flora, fauna can actually put out products. So if I want to, I can try to harvest this. I got a toxic sap. So if you need a toxic sap for a cooking recipe or a research recipe, you can use that. And you can actually raise these dinosaurs as well on your outposts. I have not done this yet, but if you scan these things, then if you scan the creatures and they are have good temperaments, then you can raise them and basically slaughter them and get nutrients for your cooking, which there's a whole cooking tree in this game as well, which then you can use the nutrients from raising the livestock basically, and then sell the things that you cook to make money. That's another way to make money in this game. So like there's a lot of things that all tie together. And at the outpost, well, again, this will be more in the outpost. We're kind of integrating the outpost overview in the whole thing here. But it kind of, you know, it kind of all fits together, I guess. So if you run around these environments and there's like a mixture of predators, if there's a mixture of predators and prey, like these herbivores, the predators will actually attack the herbivores and like eat them. And if you attack these predators, then they will usually come after you. But it just depends. So I'm not saying that the AI for the animals are perfect. They're not, and it can be a bit buggy at times with things like jumping around. So here's a pack coral bug, another like weird critter. Like, look at this. There's so many interesting details on these animals, and yeah, they're not very strong. But this would be another one you could probably. This is probably another one that you might be able to domesticate. Now, notice that in the ground here, there is this blue outline, which means that there is chlorosilane in the ground. And if I were to build an outpost here, so if I'm in Explorer scanner mode and I press R, I can build an outpost anywhere. And when I build this outpost, not anywhere, but most places on most planets, if I build this outpost, I can now build solar arrays and an extractor for the chlorosilanes. And now I'll be gathering this resource. And then I would need to build an extractor. I would need to build storage. I would need to build transportation for that, the product that I'm creating at that outpost. And then I can transfer that product to what other outposts where maybe there's manufacturing or whatever. So that's kind of like one of the nice things about this is how incredibly integrated the world is with the different mechanics and systems of the game. So like scanning, exploring, that'll give you opportunities to find good places to build outposts. And then once you've built outposts, you'll need to expand your structures, and then you'll need to level up your character and get new skills that'll allow you to upgrade your outpost even more. And then because you're going to use more and more advanced items in your outpost, then you're going to need to create more advanced structures, which means you need to get different resources, which means if you need to get those resources, you can either buy them from vendors if you want just a little bit of them, but if you want a lot of them, you're going to want to extract it yourself, which means you're going to want to actually go into the planets here, and you're going to want to look at what resources are on the planet. So like this one has these resources, and if I were to land at one of these locations, I could actually set up and extract that type of resource. So if I wanted aluminum, I could actually set up an extraction place right here in this planet. So that's really cool. So and aluminum is one of the most important things for gameplay, for outpost gameplay. The Jemison has a lot of different things. Where I'm at, there is, I believe, 3 different resources, but there's actually 5 here on Jemison, but I have to create an outpost in another area of the map if I want to take advantage of those other types of resources. So yeah, and there's a lot of different resources. Okay, so there, the scientific table is pretty big, and so you might have to do a lot of exploring if you want to be able to find a specific resource. And if you, let's see here, if I were to go to one of the places I've never been to, let me back out. I've been to, I think, all those planets when I was exploring. Sol's probably also fully explored. I don't know, Procyon A. I don't know what's over here at Procyon 1. Extreme environment. So this says it's an extreme environment, which means I would not be able to create an outpost here. I could still land here, but it might be dangerous for me to go to this planet. I might need a specialized suit to not take damage, for example. If I go to over here, okay, so I've been to this planet, and I know what resources are there, and so that's an example of where one I've been to. Let's see if I can find one that I've not been to. Maybe this one. Been there. I have not been here, so if I want to set course, I can jump over here to this planet, and I can scan this planet now that I'm here. You go in here and you can scan the planet. So I'll just hit scan, or you can press R to scan. And here's all the different types of resources. So if I want to go to an iron one, I go to red. If I want to go to nickel, I go to, if I want to mine nickel, I go to the nickel location. Copper, I would go to the one of the polar caps for copper. And I do need copper. So let's go ahead and land. And I'll go ahead and I'll set up an outpost for you. We'll just do the outpost tutorial section right here. if I can. I'm not sure if this is an extreme environment. If it is an extreme environment, I won't be able to. I didn't think about that. We'll get out and take a look at what's here in this copper environment. We should be able to run around and find a copper node at least. So I'll go ahead and exit ship.
No, indeed.
And it's kind of nice if you want an environment where there's no life to kill your outpost or your buildings and stuff or damage it. Going to a desolate place will help that out. Notice that there's still some stuff to check out. Not as much here, but there is a landmark. There are some buildings over there which you could go loot or try to run into some pirates or something. Every instance there will be something. So this green indicates that I could find copper underneath me. So if I were to go ahead and create an outpost, I can create one here. All right, and I do have the resources right now to build a copper extractor. All right, let's go ahead and do that, and we'll go ahead and set up a solar array. I don't have enough copper to make my solar array. I need copper. So another way to get copper, if I'm in a copper environment, see this right here? I can go ahead and scan this copper, and now I can use my mining tool. And boom, I've got copper in my inventory. I've got 3 nodes here I can go ahead and grab. And there are skills you can upgrade to mine faster, get extra resources for each thing you mine. But in general, I think it's better to not go that route. The best way to get resources is to create outposts on every type of resource you need a lot of. So we're going to go ahead and just build our solar array now. All right, and now we're going to need a solid storage. And we actually need 1 more power. So we need to make 2 solar arrays, but we don't have enough copper. We need 2 more copper. So let's go ahead and just run around. Notice this yellow line out here. This is the line for the outpost. I can build anything inside of this yellow line. So the outpost area is actually huge. There's so much area that you can build in. And I was really surprised how big it is. That means that you can build like complex structures, huge bases, if you want to. So let's get back into exploratory mode. We're looking for some copper nodes. We should be able to find a couple more copper nodes somewhere. I think I see some right there. We need 2 more copper nodes. Sometimes these little vents are resources you can gather, but it looks like this is just a heat vent. Okay, so this is uranium. So we can get uranium. Like this world right now, if you look on the left side of my screen, it says I have 2 of 6 resources scanned. If you're in a copper area, the most common resource you should get is copper, but you're going to get other resources as well mixed in. You're just going to get mostly what is the most common resource for that area. So here's another one. It's uranium. I don't think I really need uranium, so I'm just going to keep looking. And so when you're on these worlds, you got to keep sprinting and then jumping. Otherwise, you end up running out of air. There's a spaceship coming in, and there are pirates that might attack your outposts. And you can set up defenses on your outpost as well. So nothing there. But I think we still need... We still need like 2 more copper nodes. I'm not sure what this is. Copper. So 1 more copper. Looks like... Oh, look at this. We got a cave. We could go explore this cave and probably mine down in there if we wanted. There's just a lot of things you can do in this game. Some of it is repetitive. There's definitely some repetition. But it's also like... expansive, and depending on what you want to do in the game, it's extremely immersive. The thing is, you got to find a reason to keep playing. For me, the reason is to get the best ships, to get all the most advanced equipment, and I'm pretty sure that the mods that are gonna keep coming out are gonna make this game super worthwhile to keep playing. And will help shore up the weaknesses of the game, especially as the game gets patched and expansions. I'm sure this game's going to get expansions. that will expand new side quests and make things very interesting. So I'm gonna go ahead and enter resource or build mode again. We need to get one more power. You can see in the bottom right corner it says we need 5 power. We have 4 power. Each of these solar arrays only provides 4 power. So by having 2 solar arrays, I now have enough power here, and automatically this is going to be powered. Now we're going to go ahead and create a link from this extractor over here to this storage bin. And we can also toggle view. You can I can press V to go to a top-down view. And now I've got this thing extracting. And if I go into build mode, you can see that we have 1.66 copper will be created per minute. And if I were to create 3 of these and provide enough power for them, then the production would go up to like 5 per minute. And you can create a lot of copper very quickly. And this continually mines whether you're here or not until your storages are full. So if you have a lot of storage, you can get a lot of copper built up here, like 1,000 copper eventually. And then you'll have unlimited copper to build a ton of stuff for your outposts. So you just create outposts all over the galaxy, and you can jump around and you can send the copper to your main outposts. Of course, like I said, your outposts also need defenses. So inside of the build here, there are ballistic turrets you can build. And there are more turrets you can research and unlock as well. So this is like the basic turrets. There are also robots that you can build. You can build landing pads for your spaceships, which you can then control and build your spaceships. You can also have cargo links. Cargo links is what you need. So if I were to build this is what I would need to transport the copper back over to my other outposts. And there's 2 different types of cargo links. There's interstellar cargo links that go between solar systems and regular cargo links. I believe the interstellar ones require research. So this type of cargo link will only be able to link within one solar system. So just there's a lot going on here, and it's, in my opinion, the outpost system is pretty deep. I did run into some bugs with the outpost system, though. My first outpost I created was just like deleted randomly. Like half the buildings were deleted, including the outpost and my Starship platform. And I was pretty bummed. I had to go get a bunch more resources and rebuild it. But that was the main bug I've ran into so far with outposts. Zach A says, getting ready to install the DLSS mod on my Zephyrus G14 2060, see how much the FPS improves. I'm guessing 25% is the most likely where it's going to be at. LSP says bug Bethesda. Yeah. But overall, I mean, yeah, there are a lot of bugs, but I still think it's the bugs most of the time are not game breaking to where it's awful and it's just not playable. So we're gonna go back to my main house here, and let's go ahead. Let's hear what's next for. What is next on our agenda? So we've talked about world building. We've talked about outposts in pretty extensive detail. I want to show you a little bit more about outposts. Probably one of the most important aspects of it is the shipbuilder, and we can go ahead and do our shipbuilder tutorial next as well. So this is a scanner booster. If I had enough power here, I would be able to actually use this. Right now I don't have enough power on my outpost to power that right now. Too many things going on. So I can show you with this outpost shipbuilder, I can modify my ships. So these are the 4 ships I currently have, including a spoiler-ish ship. But in order to build a ship, you actually have to use one of these baseline ships. Now, you also can buy ships here, and there is 7 different options out of the box here. And some of these look pretty cool. I mean, yeah, if you want a lot of storage, you could just buy one of these. Now, the important thing to keep in mind is your class size. Whenever you're dealing with ships, you got A, B, and C reactors to your ships. So let's go ahead and get into the ship creation and build guide. So first of all, if you don't want to do the creation and whole build guide thing, you can just buy your ships, and there are a lot of different ships spread throughout the galaxy that you can buy that are pre-built, and they do look pretty cool. I mean, some of these look pretty cool. Some of them don't. Like this Dragonfire one looks pretty sick. But on the left, you can see your ship's stats. You have particle, ballistics, and missile systems. So these are the different power levels that you can just deploy to your ship. You have your engines, your shields, and your grav drive. And depending on your engine quality will control how fast your ship moves through space. And of course, you can do different power levels through your ship, which is powered by your reactor. Now, there are A, B, and C class reactors. A class reactors, the best A class reactor I've seen so far, has 29 power notches. B and C class reactors can have even more power reactor levels, I guess. All right. So if we were to go in and modify my ship, you can see that this is my current ship. I only have an A reactor. I actually just today finally unlocked C reactor ships. You have to blow up like 100 starships in order to eventually unlock your C reactor. Now, if we were to want to build a ship from scratch, I can show you a lot of what you need. But let's start with the basics. Let's talk about upgrading your ship first. If you already have your starter ship, the Frontier, and you just want to get more juice, more shields, more cargo space, whatever, you don't want to do anything too expensive because you don't have very many credits as a new player, here's how you can upgrade your ship and just change out your existing weapons. Now, you can see I actually added 2 additional weapon ports to this ship. That takes going into the builder, though, to do that. But if you wanted to just upgrade your stuff, you just press the upgrade ship button. And this will let you upgrade your core systems, including your reactor, your beam weapons, your missile launcher, your laser weapons, whatever weapons you're going to use here, your engines, your shield generator, your grav drive, which will increase how far you can jump, your reactors. One thing that's noticeably missing from your ship upgrades is there is no cargo space upgrades in the ship upgrades, and there is no cargo space and no grav drive fuel tank upgrades. So if you want to upgrade how far you can go for your total distance, you want to add additional fuel tanks to your ship. And if you want to increase the amount of cargo that your ship can hold, you'll want to upgrade your cargo containers, basically. And we're going to talk about how you can upgrade those, because you can't really do that from this basic drive thing. So if you just want your most basic upgrades, though, right, you go press E for upgrade ship. Then you just click on these, and here are your options. You can swap out all of the different weapons assigned to that weapon group to a different weapon type. Now, the most expensive stuff is like 48,000 credits for this Spark 750 suppressor, and it does electromagnetic damage. Notice that there's different damage types. You have hull damage, shield damage, and electromagnetic damage. I have primarily focused on using these PB30 electron beams because they do a combined hull and shield damage that works well for completely killing a ship from shield all the way down through the hull. So I really like this PB30 electron beams. That's pretty much all you need in terms of combat. And it's my recommendation to get like 4 of these, and then whenever you go into combat, just max out that power stack in the combat screen when you're actually in the combat, because that'll make your weapons shoot faster. And I wouldn't even really recommend putting extra power into your missiles or lasers or ballistics here. Just focus it all on this electron beam. So get this PB30 electron beam, get start with at least 2 of them, but hopefully get 4 of them or 3 or 4 of them on your ship. And then just when you actually get up into space, you'll want to adjust your power distribution to have everything be in that electron beam. And then you want it in engines and you want it in shields. Those are the 3 categories. Along the top here, you'll want to max out so you can move fast, have good shields, and do a lot of damage. So if you wanted to upgrade your engines, you could just switch out your models right here. You got your shield generators. You can switch that out. If you want to go to completely like new stuff though, you're going to need to use the ship builder, which is the B key. Now the ship builder actually lets you grab parts, move them around, separate the stuff out. When you want to add stuff, what you want to do is hover your mouse over the area you want to add. This little highlighted portion means I'm going to add to this specific area. So if we wanted to just add something to the front here, we could just press the G key. You hover over the mounting point you want to add something to. Then you press G to add something to that item. And then you can change the category. And let's say, most likely, if we were to try to add something here, we'd probably want to add another hab. So we could add something like, I don't know, something simple. We could do let's do a 2-in-1, which is going to give us some side and top mounting points for our ship, some additional mounting points. The trick is, if we add too much stuff to our ship, it won't be able to take off unless we add more engines. And if we add more engines, we might need to add more structure to mount more engines. And then if we add that, we need to add more mass, and then we need to add more landing gear or upgrade our landing gear. So like you can only make the ship too big and so big, and then you'll have to add more stuff to it, upgrade your reactor, upgrade your engines, then you want to upgrade your shield generators. Then because there's more area, you can then mount more cargo racks. I don't know. There's a lot of things you can do, but let's just go and add this 2x1 hab. All right. We'll remount the cockpit down. We've just extended our ship to be real long neck here. But now we could add new stuff because we got mounting points here. Let's just go ahead and, I don't know, let's attach a new fuel tank. All right. So we're going to do, a new 200G fuel tank on this side. I do like being symmetrical if you can, so you probably would want to add another one, but you could just say, screw it, I don't have that much weight, I need to be more efficient, let's add more cargo. So here we could add like this, one of these cargo things. Now, you gotta be careful how much mass you add to your ship, but because like I said, you'll have to add more engines if you add more mass. But basically, let's just say we add some cargo. Right here, you can see this adds 225 cargo space. This adds 170 shielded cargo space. Shielded cargo space means that when you go into settled systems, you can hold contraband and hide contraband from the authorities in the shielded cargo hold. And shielded cargo hold is more limited than your main cargo holds. So you can only carry a limited amount of shielded cargo. But adding a shielded cargo bay is something I think is very important because the contraband items can be super valuable. Like there was this one mission where I could have grabbed like 200,000 credits worth of like contraband cargo, which if you go and sell it, you'd probably only get like 50,000 credits from it. 50,000 credits is a lot for like grabbing in one mission. So having shielded cargo is really nice. So just know like right there, if we were to add this would add 395 cargo. If we go to our most expensive, this is 950 cargo. All right. And as we hover over it, we can also flip this. So if we wanted to have it look good, I think it would look better like this, right? Store max, store all. There's a lot of different types of things you can do here for your cargo. Lots of different design and stylistic things. Lots of customizability, but obviously stats is very important. For now, we'll just add a basic cargo hold because I don't want to add too much mass. These add a lot of mass. This one doesn't add too much. Yeah, we'll go with, that's a lot of weight. We'll just go with this Caravel 1. All right, so we added fuel tanks. This will make our ship jump further. We added a cargo hold, which is going to let us store more stuff on our ship for our inventory, which we can then sell to vendors. All right, and then if we want to upgrade some more stuff, we can add structural things like a porthole, which lets us see through out into outer space, which is like more of a stylistic thing. The structural items typically are stylistic choices that influence how your ship looks. So we can add this shroud cap if we wanted to. But we can't do it there. We got to try to add it somewhere else over here. All right, and then now, so here's the shroud cap. Now we can add it onto the top here for some style points if we want. And then, I don't know, on the side here, can we, I'm not sure, can we mount a gun to this? I don't think you can mount guns. You'll need to mount guns to the structure points. So now that we added the structure point on top, we can mount weapons on top of the structural points. So we'll add this PB30 electron beam right here. So now we've added another electron beam, which it's not going to like us adding too much of one type of weapon. 4 is the most it will let you add of these PB electron guns. But if we wanted to, we could maybe change this out. Let's just delete this for now, and we'll hover over it, press G. Maybe we'll add some missiles. So a missile launcher. All right. And so right now on the flight check, if we press C, it'll give us a flight check. Right now it says ship contains modules that exceed reactor class. Now this is important, and this is a mistake that I made in this builder that you should not make. And if you listen to me right now, you won't make this mistake. I basically did this on purpose. I want to show you this. Reactor class A, B, or C modules, even if you're not certified for a C-class module, you can still put a C-class module on an A-class ship, which is a smaller class, and then it'll give you this error and won't let you build your ship. So if I want to look at what module class these are, you can see this missile launcher is a B class. So I will not be able to put this on this ship. I can delete this. All right, and now that error went away. So when you're looking at your weapon classes, you'll see the class right here in the class. So there's a class B missile launcher. Let's see if we can go class A. Here's a class A missile launcher. So class A, I can actually mount this on my ship. And let's see what the error is. Maximum weapon count. Your ship has more than 3 different types of weapons. It didn't like that, so we'll have to delete one of these weapons. Let's just go ahead and delete some of these weapons in the very back anyway, because it looks a little weird. Ship has a weapon that must be assigned to a group. Weapon grouping is assigned in this. You press C for flight check, and then there's a weapon tab up here. And I can assign my missile launcher here to weapon group 2, which is the right click button if I want to do that. Or I can, if I want to add another missile launcher and another missile launcher, boom, now I've got 3 missile launchers right there. And now I've got low mobility and missing weapon assignment. So I need to oh, it's saying that I'm missing weapon assignment. So basically there's one button that's not going to have any button that doesn't do anything. Like right click won't do anything in this case, or G won't do anything in this case actually, because the third one's G hotkey. So now I've got 3 rocket launchers and 3 electron beams. Like I said, not really my recommended path here. I'd rather have 4 electron beams in this case. And right now it looks a little weird too with this huge gooseneck. But if I actually wanted to save this, I could actually save these changes. I've just modified this ship and made it basically a whole different ship. Another thing I could do would be add some structure, some style here. Let's try adding. Yeah, we'll add this 4 bumper so it looks a little less weird. There, we got some of that. Looks better in my opinion. And flight check. Now what does it say? Ship is too heavy. So we've added those structural elements and now we cannot take off, so we'll have to delete those structural elements. See that? Now we're ready. As long as this is just yellow, we can save this ship and take off with it and fly. Sandor M with the $5 super chat. Oh, you guys can't see screen? Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay. Thanks so much, Sandor M. We're gonna have to redo this flight guide. This build guide. We'll have to redo it. Okay. So we'll start from fresh. Sucks that the screen was not visible. I'm so sorry, guys. I should have checked chat a little more often. I was just in the zone. Okay. So we're gonna cancel our modifications that we've made. And we're gonna back out. So ship builder, this is, you can do these ship modifications at any ship services technician in a city or here at the shipbuilder console at my Outpost. So I'm gonna go ahead and I can go to buy ships. I can look at pre-built ships right here. And you can see that there's a lot of different options. There's everything from A, B, and C class ships, but if you buy a B or C class ship before you can actually fly it, you won't actually be able to get in and take off or anything. So make sure that your piloting skills are increased to be able to actually fly it. To increase your piloting skills, you'll need to go to the tech tree and go to piloting and upgrade your piloting skills. To level this up, you'll have to actually go blow ships up. And the best way to do that is a flight simulator in the UC Authority, which is one of the bases in the main city in, I believe, New Visions, the main Jemison city there. The other option is you can go ship jumping inside of pirate space, as long as you're not a pirate, not as long as you're not a part of the pirate faction, and you'll regularly run into enemies to blow up. So that's a way to increase your ship training. Another way to blow up ships is to take missions to kill Crimson Fleet pilots from the UC Authority or the Free Star Collective, or different mission boards basically will have you missions assigned to go blow up enemies. And that's another way to get blow up. So once you've blown up enough ships, you'll be able to upgrade your piloting rank, and with rank 3 you can unlock B class ships, and rank 4 unlock C class ships like I have unlocked. Okay. All right. So let's go into the shipbuilder console. Let's go ahead and show you where you can see your ship stats. You've got your different types of weapons here. Your weapon systems are right here. You can see that this one's laser, EM, and missiles. This one is particle and ballistics. So particle and missiles, you can do any combination of different types, but these are the different weapon systems. There are 3 weapon groups you can add to your ship, and then you have your engines, your shields, and your grav drive. Your grav drive will determine how far away to another solar system you can jump to. If you have a lot of weight in your ship, you won't be able to jump as far. And then how your fuel tanks will determine how many jumps you can do consecutively between loading screens. So you'll want a lot of fuel in your ship, and you'll want a strong grav drive so you can do big expansive jumps when you want to travel long distances. So you can see grav drive on this ship. Let's see here, inspect. So this one, the Slipstream, has a 29 light year jump range, which is really far. It's a B class reactor, which is the second biggest. It can hold a crew of 5, and you actually have to upgrade a skill in order to get access to your crew and increase the number of people you can store in your crew, because if you don't have the skill upgraded, the most you're going to be able to store in your ship is only 3. This is your shield count, how strong your shield is. 730 is like a medium-sized shield. The bigger shields are going to be like 1,500, and the starter ship shields are only like 300. So this one right here, the crossbow. This is a Class C ship. So this is a very big ship, and you can see there's a lot of engines on this guy with a big reactor, yeah. So and part of the whole idea of like if you go to a bigger bigger ship size, like a Class C ship size, is that your Class C components will also be more powerful, do more damage, shield more, store more items, have bigger fuel tanks, have grav drives that are more powerful to jump further distances, all of that. So the power slots will not scale necessarily one-to-one, but and notice all of these individual notches. This reactor has 18 power generated, and the system wants to have more. So it's basically saying that the power here, all these little red lines, means that if you were to try to power everything, this reactor would not be able to power everything, at least not out of the box. So that's how you read the stats. Out of the gate, you're only going to be able to get A-class ships. So if we were to go to my ships that I have the Star Eagle, which is an A-class reactor. This is a very well upgraded, in my opinion, Class A ship that's very capable of basically blowing up everything and doing everything, but it's a lot smaller ship than those monstrous Class C ships. And actually, I don't have any Class C ships. I just unlocked the ability to get Class C ships today. So this is probably my rarest ship right here. I'm not going to show you that one because it's basically a spoiler ship for later in the game. So we're going to modify the Frontier ship. If you were to upgrade your ship, here is your primary systems you can upgrade. You can use the A and D keys to jump between these different systems. And if you go to upgrade your ship in this way, you're only going to get options to switch out the things that match within that weapon group, the engine type, or the shield gen type, or the grav dive type, or reactor type. There's very minimal upgrades, basically. You can't swap out whole components or change your reactor type or class within this menu. In order to make big changes to your ship, you have to go to the ship builder, and this allows you to grab and move any part. And when you move this part, notice that this is an attachable point. All right, so you can click and drag and move all of these pieces. And one of the easiest ways to expand your ship is to just drag your cockpit out and hover your mouse over with this attachable point and press G to add the attachable point. And you could add a structural point here. You could add a hab. I think adding a hab is the thing that makes the most sense. So here's the Demos all-in-one 2-in-1 berth. And then we can add this back. This basically adds a neck to your ship, extends it out. And this is a new part of your crew quarters and could also add 2 additional passenger slots to your crew capacity, basically. By adding more habs, you can take more crew with you. And adding more habs also is like basically your structural framework for your ship, allowing you to mount new weapons, new tanks, new storages. So if we mount on this side, right, we could press G to add. We could add more habs to this if we want to just make this a crazy build. We could keep expanding and adding more framework, make this a big ship, or we could not as well. We could try to keep it a simple ship, lighter weight, which is what we're going to do. We're just going to add some basic stuff. We're going to add a cargo, and there is shielded cargo and regular cargo. Shielded cargo is for your contraband, and this will prevent you from getting caught when you take contraband, which is marked in yellow next to the items. Shielded cargo will protect you from being caught most of the time, not guaranteed, but you'll want to. Shielded cargo is smaller cargo space. Keep that in mind. It's not as efficient when you're adding new cargo space to your ship. So if we wanted to add this one, the Galleon S202, it adds a lot of mass, 200 mass to our ship. And our ship is already only 382 mass. It adds 50% more mass to our ship, which is a lot. You can see the mass down here in the bottom right. But some of these other ones don't add that much mass. So we could just, we could add the Store Max cargo. And then on this right side, we could add another Store Max. And now we've only added a little bit of mass. We do have an error. It says ship is too heavy to grav jump. Reduce mass or increase grav jump thrust. So that means we've added too much mass. Okay, so we're going to want to delete this. We'll go for something that's lighter weight or upgrade the grav drive. You don't have to just do this, but we're going to do a lighter weight thing here. Let's just swap this out, and we'll do a fuel tank, which is a lot less mass. overall. So, and this fuel tank will let our ship jump further by having an additional fuel tank on here. You see we got 250 fuel tanks that basically doubles our range for our jump range. And let's go ahead and delete this cargo. Let's get something that's a little bit less less obtrusive here for our cargo hold. We'll do a yeah, we'll just do this V101 cargo for 225 extra cargo space. It's up to you what you want to add here, but the more you add, the more you're gonna have to upgrade your reactor, your grav drives, and maybe either upgrade your engines that you do have, or add new structure to build additional engines onto the back. Okay, so along the top here, we cannot mount weapons. If we want to mount weapons, we're gonna need to add a structural component first. So we could add this nice Nova cowling. And this adds 3 weapon points that we can add. And we can add these different types of weapons. There's all kinds of different weapons. The key here is that we want to use Class A weapons for our Class A reactor. It will let you add Class B weapons, but it will not let you build the ship. This is, I think, a bug, in my opinion. With the ship builder, they need to make it so that the weapons that are a higher class at least give you a warning when you add them, so that you know that you won't be able to build the ship when you actually go to build it. So this PB-30 electron beam, I think, is the best weapon in the game right now. I recommend adding 4 of these to your ship, and then you're pretty much good to go in terms of weapon power. And then you just got to make sure you have a powerful enough reactor to be able to power them, because they are very power hungry. So yeah, let's just say we want to go ahead and delete our other weapons that we've got on here. And instead, let's go ahead and add these Class A missile launchers. Let's just add all 3 of these Class A missile launchers, so that when we go to press that missile button, we're going to get a nice satisfying missile launch. So we've got 3 PB 30 electron beams on this thing, mounted along the cockpit here. And we got 3 missile launchers on the back. Now, if we want to go to our weapons here, we want to assign our weapons. You gotta make sure that you assign your electron beam and your missile launchers. And if you were to add a 3rd weapon type, say lasers, then you would need to add lasers, say, to the 3rd weapon group. This is currently mapped to G. I would typically do like your main laser, then maybe ballistics, or your 2 type of pew-pew weapons, and then I would add G for any kind of missiles, because you don't need to do missiles as often. And I like to have my finger available to press the D key to do the rotation for the ship flight. So in general, I would put your missile launchers on the 3rd group and your lasers on the 2nd group and your missile launchers on the 3rd group, so that you left click for electron beam, right click for pulse laser, and then G is your missile launcher for your key bumps. You can obviously remap this too if you wanted to, but your keys. But if you want to keep the default key bindings, so now we've got bristling with weapons. It costs 14,000 to add these upgrades. We've just got 1 message here saying that we have low mobility because our ship weighs so much now. And honestly, it looks a little bit silly. If we wanted to, we could add new landing gear to this thing. And if we wanted to just keep the same theme of the landing gear, we could click this and then duplicate our let's see here. So we click the item, press Control G, and now we can duplicate that piece of gear. Click the item, press Control G to duplicate, and now we've got a ship that looks at least more realistic in terms of its landing gear. Though now it says it needs more grav drive thrust for jump. So what we could do is go to our grav drive here, and it says our grav drive thrust is only 13. So let's just say we want to add new grav drive. Let's go ahead and take a look at our grav drives here. This grav drive gives us 27 grav drive thrust. That's going to give us a huge grav drive upgrade in terms of our distance. Let's go ahead and grab that, slap that on there. Now we're going to, notice that our errors right now, it says for our flight check, it says ship has unattached modules. If you need to find your unattached module, just double click and it'll, if you double click any item, it'll highlight everything that's connected and show you the piece that's disconnected. So this is the piece that's disconnected. We'll need to delete this old out-of-date grav drive. All right. We'll go ahead and delete that grav drive. And now we got rid of our low grav drive warning. All right. And if we wanted to upgrade our reactor, we can grab this reactor and we can see that we get 20 power generated with this 360T, this is already an actual upgraded reactor. But let's go ahead and just grab this, and we're going to need to attach a new reactor. So we only have 20 there. We're looking for one that gives us more power generated than 20, but is still class A. Looks like out of the parts that are offered on this landing pad, this is probably the best reactor we're going to get. I know that there's a class A reactor that gives 29. I think I got it in the Aquila or the Jemison main starport there in the Jemison planet, where the lodge is located. So I'm not sure if we're gonna actually be able to get a better reactor here for class A. We'd have to go up to class B or C if we wanted to upgrade our reactor, which I think we could do that now that I have the piloting skill. Let's go ahead and try to throw in a class B reactor. Can we do that? Class B reactor. Let's slap that in there. Let's go ahead and delete this one. And now we've upgraded our grav drive. We've upgraded our reactor. Now that we've upgraded a reactor to class B, we could, in theory, use class B parts on all of the rest of this now. Now, the last thing that you really want to make sure you know when you go into the shipbuilder is you want to be able to, your ship needs to have the hatch, which is the docker, this docker piece, needs to be the tallest thing on your ship so the ship can always dock to something. So whenever you go to a new, modify your ship and you add a lot of vertical things, you got to make sure the docker is the last thing that goes on top. And then the other thing you got to know is that this landing bay right here, this landing bay needs to be at the very bottom of the ship. So nothing can be lower than the landing bay and nothing can be higher than the docker. So those are the last things that you need to know. Now that we've upgraded our ship and modified it like crazy, let's go ahead and back out and we'll accept our modifications. And now let's go ahead and check out this ship. So let's go check it out. So there it is. It took a moment to load. And we can now go investigate and see what the inside of the ship looks like. And like there's just so much potential customization here for style points. And I don't even have everything unlocked. There are so many things you can unlock still, and through the skill points, like through this piloting skill, ship design, you can use more. Like I am at the basic rank 1 for ship design. There are 3 additional tiers which would each unlock more parts. And then also, depending on which location you're at, what planet you're on, you're going to have different ship parts available to you as a player on each different star port. Mainly, like the best place is, like right now we're using a Outpost starport, which gives us the most combined ports in one place. So that's my recommendation for building your ships. Make your own outpost, make your own starport. But then, even then, you don't have all the parts here at the outpost. You're going to have to go to specific outposts specific planets where the manufacturers are home based, because that's the only place to get their most premium, best cockpits or certain weapons or structural habs that are like super fancy on the inside, or cockpits are one of the biggest things to modify your ship. And there are a lot of different ship parts and pieces spread throughout the galaxy, basically. And you basically, if you get into the shipbuilding, you'll want to jump around and experiment and look at what all the unique parts are at each location. which honestly I have not done too much of. I've definitely built some ships at different locations and modified some stuff, but it's not the kind of thing I've like exhausted yet. It's like this game has so many different layers, and you can only, I haven't spent enough time in here yet to really fully unwrap that part of the game yet. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look. So we came in the hatch. This is, so Andrea actually opened that. I didn't open that. But this is the new hab that we added. So this has a bed. You can sleep in the bed. You can add modules. You can add hab modules that will have workbenches, weapon manufacturer desks, so you can upgrade your weapons, you can upgrade your space suits, but you need those fancier hab modules to be able to get access to those things in your ship. And also, because those hab modules are big, you're probably going to need a bigger ship to be able to add all of those different modules in one ship to take with you. Or, of course, you can just add those upgrade benches and everything to your outpost like I did here. So through this gate, through this door here, we have the cockpit. So this is a very basic cockpit. And you can see you can add crew here to do certain tasks like like there are auto turrets that you can add to your ship, and you can hire crew to man those turrets and fight for you and aim for you automatically. So yeah, so we can now we can sit down in our modified ship, and we could take it for a spin. Let's go ahead and just take off in this ship that we just built.
This never gets old.
So we got our upgraded reactor, new cargo hold, more cargo space, more fuel space. And it was as easy as that. It took like 20 minutes to modify the ship. But if you're really good and you know what you want to do, it might only take 30 seconds or a minute to like upgrade your cargo capacity. All depends on what you want to do. All right, so let's go ahead and shoot our missiles. So we got 3 missiles. And our weapon, let's go ahead and do our ship combat guide. So in the bottom left corner of the screen right now, in the bottom left corner of the screen, you can see that we have different power distributions, and you hold the Alt key, and you can reduce the power of your particle weapons, for example, and you can add them to the missiles. And when I add more power to the missiles, it's going to let me shoot missiles faster, and my missiles will also recharge faster. Here at the top middle of my screen, you've got my missile weapon group, and you can see that right now I have 38 out of now 50, 63, and that's the percentage capacity of your missiles that you have left to shoot. If I were to shoot my missiles until my missiles run out of energy, then I'm going to have to wait a really long time for them to all regenerate back to maximum. In particular, if you only have 1 power assigned to my missile group. The more power you have assigned to that weapon group, the faster they're going to be able to fire. So for example, if my particle weapons only have 1 energy assigned to it, I can only shoot once every couple seconds. If I have 3 energy assigned to it, I can shoot pretty fast. If I go ahead and assign maximum energy to my particle weapons, look at how fast I can shoot. So I can shoot really, really fast, but it does require enough reactor power to power your missiles and your particle weapons at the same time. So finding the right balance of power distribution to the right amount of power you have available on your ship class with the right amount of efficiency of weapon choice is like basically what you're looking to do in this game. Like ballistics takes very little power, so a potential good combination of weapons is a high amount of power going to your particle weapons with a little bit of energy going to ballistics, and then a little bit of energy going to your missiles, because ballistics and missiles generally don't have as high of power demand requirements. So either, I would usually probably power up your lasers or your particle weapons and then do a ballistic and missiles for your secondary groups. You can reduce power to your shields. You can also, and when I reduce power to my shields, notice that my power drops in my shield down to say 20%, or I can boost the shields all the way to maximum. So you can choose whether you want to have full shields or just take that energy and prioritize it into engines or whatever else. Now, if you wanted to land on this ship without going into any menus, what you can do is you can select, you can basically press F, and then you can press R, and that'll open up it'll go directly to the planet menu, so you can select your landing zone that you want to go to. Now, if we want to go to another star system, you can see that we can traverse to another star system by pressing, by basically moving the reticle, the center reticle, over another star system and pressing E, and then you hold R. And then this is going to take us to that celestial object or body. Right now, this is another planet within the same solar system, so it's like we're just on regular propulsion. Okay, so now we're here. Now we can press F, we can press E, and then we can press R, and it'll open up the planet menu, and we could go land on this planet if we want to. You know, if we want to go to... Grandma and just invited me over for some food. So Grandma is offering to let me dock with her, and I can go get some food. I don't know what this is. This is one of those open world random interactions that it just auto generates when you travel between system to system.
I have things I wish to discuss with you.
So this is so interesting. So they made food for us. Where are they? This is grandmother. So we can go talk to this person if we wanted to. I just love this interaction. I love this, just the detail they put into the world and everything. We won't do that right now just because we don't really have time. We'll undock from this and we'll travel back. Let's just go ahead and travel back to our base and switch back to our other ship.
Let's go.
Soy Celty says, hey Gizmo, quick question. Deciding between a Nitro 5 3070 Ti you were talking about for 969 or a Legion Pro 5 with the i7 3700HX and 4060 QHD 240 Hz for 1249. I would, if you're gonna spend 1249, honestly, if you're gonna save some money, the Nitro 5 is probably the way to go between those two because you get the better quality screen, which is a QHD 100% DCI-P color gamut display. But the 4060 is not terrible, but I would try to go for a 4070 around that price point if you're gonna spend 1249. Like there's a Nitro 16 with a 4070 that's 1200, I think, right now. I would go for that one instead. Okay, so I want to stay focused on the review of Starfield for this game, just so you guys, so we can keep focus, keep on task here. Okay, all right. So let's zoom back. Let's go back to, like this whole this whole idea of like point at the celestial body you want to go to, press E, then press R. You know, it's not terrible, you know, but it's not great either. If I want to go to my outpost on another planet, another solar system in particular, I have to go through the menu here to get there. And then I have to zoom out, and then I have to go over here, and I have to go to, you know, Olympus, you know, and it's not clicking for me. And then I have to go click on Thalassa, and then I have to zoom around, and I have to go here, and I have to click on Ally Town, and then I have to hold X. It's like 10 different actions to go to where I want to go, when I think there should just be like press tab and then go to like a quick travel menu, and it'll be like your favorite locations, and you just press 1, and then you're instantly traveling to your main outpost. Like that's what it needs to be happening for the UI. That needs to be upgraded and added. But just in general, I think that the fast travel system is good. There just needs to be some more optimizations that need to be added. Okay. Let's hear what's next for our topic list. Let's talk about quality of main story. We've done shipbuilding, we've done inventory, navigating the world. We've created a ship. We've created an outpost. Let's talk about quality of main storyline. All right, so the best way to do this spoiler-free is to just talk probably about the activities that I have participated in since I have played the game. All right, so let's go back to Gizmo Town and hang out in Gizmo Town while we do this. So since I have done like the main story and side quests, let's just talk about it in general. Main story quests. I have investigated why Earth was essentially destroyed in this universe's history. There's a whole mission where you look at the origin and you look at like scientific logs, and it's like a mystery of like figuring out what happened to the Earth. Why did it get destroyed? And it's very interesting moral implications there that is just fascinating to me. It was super engaging. I was super just into the flow. I was so engaged with that mission. There's a mission where you go into a top secret space station and you're an undercover operative stealing a top secret research project off of that space station. And there are lots of different ways to beat that side quest. There, you go into the space station, you go into you can go into the ventilation. You can try to con your way by talking to people and making them think that, oh, I just forgot my ID badge, but you have to have the right persuasion skills and click the right things in order to be successful in that. Otherwise they'll just get mad at you, or they might discover that you're undercover and just start attacking you. And then if that happens to you, you might have to be forced into a combat thing where you have to fight everyone on the station and kill everybody. And then that has moral implications because you were an undercover agent and the person you're working for didn't want you to kill their own people. Or maybe the pirates are mad at you because now the government knows that you're an undercover agent, or like, I don't know. There's all these different implications, right? And like, let's say that you make someone mad at you. Well, that person may literally get so mad at you that they come after you in the real world, open world, in a random instance and come out and ambush you with 5 ships trying to blow you up. Like, all of these things have happened to me, and it's all seamlessly integrated for me. And it feels so immersive, I guess is what I would say, in terms of like the RPG elements, the decision making impacting the gameplay. Like, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's one of the most intricate, complex RPG integrated systems I've ever seen in a video game, and like probably the best RPG element integrated into a video game that I've ever played on. Let's see here. What are some other quests? Like, let's talk about main story quality now that I have played through and actually beat the whole main story. I loved it. I thought it was incredibly intricate, interesting from a scientific, theoretical standpoint, interesting from a, like, this is a very engaging story. That said, the main storyline is very dialogue heavy. It's almost like you're watching a sci-fi movie or TV show and you're watching these characters talk back and forth, except that at the end of it, like, the decisions you make in dialogue will either make that character like you, hate you, attack you, ally with you, ally against you. All of these things can influence how the game actually ends. And at the very end of your life in this universe, this version of the universe, you get to decide, like, you get to review all the decisions that you've made in the side quests you did, and in the main story quests, you get to like see like a little memorial, so maybe a character that died. And then if you want to, you can wipe the slate clean and start over again, except for your character stats. All of your character stats will translate into the next iteration of the universe, and it will basically, you'll be able to rebuild from like, it's like, I think it's called like New Game Plus, basically, where now that you're replaying the game, you can basically have new options for you as a character in the main story. So you could literally replay the story, and also you can replay the side missions and make different choices that will have different impacts on that version of the universe. So, and at the end of your whole playthrough for your second playthrough, you will then see a summary of all your choices and what impacts that had in the universe, which is just so cool. And then you could restart again, and you could play it through again a third time if you wanted to. You know, I don't know, like at a certain point, I think you would just not want to refresh the world again, because every time you refresh the world, all your outposts, all your ships, all your money will be wiped clean. And then you'll have to re-grind your way up to get all those things back. So, but that's part of the fun, I think, of this game is re-explore. I'm not sure if all of your, I bet all of your explorer knowledge probably translates through to the next version of the game. So, yeah, I'm not sure everything that goes through one version of the iteration of the universe to the next, but I'm pretty sure you pretty much start fresh except for your skill set. And that honestly is a great way to level up your character, I'm pretty sure, because the main story gives you so much XP. Redoing the main story again would then help boost your level and give you a lot of skill points for your character. Speaking of skill points, we should probably talk about skill traits and character skills, because that's one of the things that I really wanted to talk about. Okay, so character skills. Skill traits, this really influences how much damage you do, especially the combat skill traits. All right, so under lasers, you can see that I'm currently rank 1. I do 10% more damage, but I can do up to 30% more damage. And then at rank 4, I also add a chance for 5% to set that target on fire automatically, even if the weapon doesn't have like a thermal energy output mode. So that's a cool way to unlock and improve your weapon damage. There is, so for ballistic weapons, if I get to rank 4, my ballistic weapons do 30% more damage and they have a 30% increase to their range. If I get rifle certification, then my ballistic rifles will also do 30% more damage and 30%, they'll shoot 30% faster when you stand still. Pistol certification is, you know, pistols can also be ballistic. So this will again stack with your ballistics stats to like double your damage, essentially, because you get 30% more damage, then you get 50% more damage from this. And a pistol kill grants 25% hit chance or critical chance. Then you have sniper certification, which involves scoped weapons, and you can have scoped pistols and rifles. And this allows you to do 50% more damage while using the scope. So this will again stack on your other previous stacked skill trees. So now you're doing like 150% more damage. And then there's sharpshooting, which increases headshot critical damage by 50%. So now you're doing 200% damage bonus when you do a rifle, ballistic, headshot, scoped shot. And so this is a huge way to massively increase your damage, and even at a lower level, so you're only level 20, if you upgrade this skill tree, you'll be able to do so much damage when you're going into outposts and raiding enemies. So this is the things that I focused on for my combat. I would probably do ballistics, I would do rifle, I would do sniper, and then do sharpshooting. Now, for physical, I would recommend at least 1 rank in stealth. This gives you the ability to have a stealth meter, allowing you to be hidden. And then I would also say to get your weightlifting upgrading, because this takes a while to upgrade unless you just dedicate time running around. Because it takes a long time of sprinting, and then you have to slow down and get your oxygen back, and you have to sprint, and you have to be at 75% weight capacity or more. Now, I started leveling this up later in the game, so that's why it's not max. Otherwise, it would be max. But there's a lot of different physical things you can upgrade. You can upgrade your health by 10%, by up to 40% more total health. You have boxing, which is unarmed attacks. Fitness, which gives you more oxygen so you can sprint for longer. This stealth also gives you a bonus damage when you attack out of stealth. So if you are hidden, so if I can find something to shoot and kill. So here's a guy. I am hidden. He's not looking my way. So I just killed him and I got 2 times damage for a sneak attack. So now you have your scoped damage multiplier, your ballistics damage multiplier, your rifle damage multiplier, your scoped damage multiplier, and now your 2x sneak damage multiplier, giving you a 400% damage boost to your damage. And I have, like, you know, this lawgiver doing 278 physical damage. Now when you land all of these stacked multipliers on top of each other, you're doing like 1,000 damage in one hit. So you can basically one-shot just about everybody except the biggest boss guys, if you can attack them from stealth, at least. Usually the biggest boss guys might take 3 or 4 hits, at least on hard. If you go to normal, it's pretty much one-shotting everybody. And then another damage multiplier is this concealment, but this takes a lot of skill points to unlock this. Your range sneak does 2.5 times, but will do up to 4 times damage with a melee sneak attack doing a 10x damage. So once you get this concealment upgrade to the max, you can basically have this assassin skill for your unarmed skills or your knives or blades or whatever, and you can run around gutting enemies in their outposts. Not really run around, but, you know, sneak around gutting the enemies, and have a totally different type of play style if you invest your skill points enough to unlock this trait. But there's a lot here. There is chance to do critical will melee, rejuvenation, slowly regenerate your health when you're outside of combat. Otherwise, you have to have med kits or food to heal. Under social, there is your gastronomy, which allows you to craft specialty foods and drinks. And I didn't level this out. This is one of the things I got when I created my character. I had this skill as one of the defaults. Would not recommend it. Really, food doesn't heal you very well in this game. I don't think it's worth going down that road until later. Maybe if you want to make food and sell it. I'm not sure how well that works. But under social, there's all of these persuasion skills. You can increase your chance to successfully persuade somebody. And I do think persuasion is a worthwhile thing to unlock, because there are parts of the game that I've been able to beat that would be unbeatable if I did not have my persuasion skill in general. Now, scavenging gives you a chance to get extra credits. If you're going to do a lot of looting, this is worth upgrading. Theft allows you to pickpocket targets. And this is another way to make a lot of money very quickly. Just running around a city and pickpocketing everything. You have to be hidden, and there's a chance that you'll be caught. So if you do get caught, you will go to jail or pay a fine or get a bounty. And you might have to eventually fight a bunch of people if you try to resist arrest. Or you can do a quick save. In general, you can cheese the game if you do a bunch of quick saves and theft and steal a bunch of stuff. To me, that's not very fun gameplay, doing quick saves and cheesing the game, because it kind of feels a little bit like cheating. Me personally, I much preferred getting all of my credits. You know, I've got 350,000 credits by simply just playing the game, running missions, doing main storylines. And as I do those things, I am looting, I am upgrading my gear as I go as well, but looting and then selling all of my gear, you know, gathering my gear, storing it in my ship until my ship is full, and then going to mainly the pirate home of the Key. And you go to the Key, and then you have those 4 vendors in one spot, and you can sell all your stuff very quickly there. And then if you need to sell a bunch of stuff and you max out all those vendors, you can rest for 24 hours, and then you can sell another round of stuff there. So now these are the things I did. But if you wanted to go the laser route, or melee route, you can upgrade your melee damage, or your shotgun damage if you want to be up close and personal and do shotgun damage. Particle beam upgrades, which would stack with the laser damage. Rapid reloading, marksmanship, increased chance of a critical hit when non-automatic, ranged by 3% and up to 15% critical chance increase. Yeah. So there's a lot of things inside of the combat. Inside the science tier, this is where you can upgrade your some things related to your ship, like the astrodynamics will upgrade how far your ship can jump. Geology is for your mining. You can upgrade the types of resources you get from when you gather resources. Medicine means that you can get more healing from the trauma packs, med kits, and emergency kits. Research methods is required if you're trying to go down the crafting and research methodology. So you're going to need to get quite a few upgrades in the science tiers if you want to be big in outposts. Like, I am not too big in outposts, but you'll definitely need to get outpost engineering because you get more modules and more advanced generators, solar generators, manufacturing. So if you want to manufacture pieces of equipment that then you can use in outposts or that you can sell to NPCs and just generate credits that way, then you have outpost engineering. The thing is, for me right now, like, I am not even maxed out on all my combat skills. So I'm like, I don't really want to max my science skills until all my combat skills are maxed out. So I got to do a lot of leveling still if I want to get enough skill points to do everything I want to do. Because then I also have tech, which is primarily around the spaceships and hacking paths. So you can upgrade your ballistic weapons here, your boost pack, so your mobility, you can upgrade how fast your boost pack regenerates and how effective it is. Piloting, which unlocks different classes of ships. Security, which lets you hack safes, rooms, and I do recommend getting your security upgraded to at least rank 3 so that you can unlock master level locks. And also when you get to rank 2, it also is much easier to do the digilocks, which are these like a digilock mini game, which let's go ahead and show you that. I would like to show you that. Let's finish this, and then I'll try to show you the digilock hacking and security system. So you have your energy weapon systems. Energy weapons have 10% increased damage, and if you keep upgrading this, you'll have increased damage and cost 45% less energy to use in targeting mode. And then the energy weapons recharge 30% faster. You have boost assault training. Nearby enemies take damage when you boost and can catch on fire. Automated system weapons. Automated system weapons do 10% more damage. So like I said, there are auto turrets that you can put on your ship and they'll automatically aim and fire at enemies around you. If you want to go down that road, I have not tried that out. But this will upgrade those weapon systems. EM weapon systems, EM electromagnetic weapons will have additional damage in targeting modes. And targeting control systems are important because if you want to disable a ship and then take it over, you'll need targeting to go to targeting mode and target the enemy's engines. And when the enemy has their engines destroyed, that will give you the opportunity to board them and take over their ship. So I could try to show you that as well. That would probably mix into the security because they'll probably have something I can hack into while we're doing that. So another part of tech is starship design. So if you want to be able to upgrade your ship to the maximum, get the best modules, superior cutting edge modules, and experimental ship modules, you'll need to get this to rank 4. This is one of my focuses here. And I definitely want to keep upgrading this. You can upgrade your shields as well on your ship to have up to 100% additional shield on your ship, which is huge. That is absolutely huge for going into the heavy combat zones, having double the shields. Yeah, and look at this. Ship systems have 25% increased damage mitigation. That'll make you more resilient, and your ship can repair faster. So you press the O key to activate your repair on your ship in mid-combat. and that'll make that better as well. So there's a lot here. There's a lot of systems, and they all integrate together, and it's just really complex and a fulfilling and kind of satisfying progression journey that takes many, many hours. And this progression journey is continuous across all of your iterations of your universe as you replay the main storyline and side quests and try out different versions of the main story and side quests, basically. So that's like the way this integrates into the game. And yeah. So let's go ahead and try going and finding a... Let's go ahead and fast travel. So if you're on land and you just want to go back to your ship, you can go back to your ship by pressing F and going into the finder goggles, and then you press E to go to the frontier, fast travel to this location. Yes, you need to make sure you do not have, you're not overweight. If you're overweight, it won't work. So now we're back on our ship, which is instantaneous. I love that. We can just instantly go back to the ship. It's super nice that we can do that. Let's go ahead and exit the ship though, and let's switch back to my Star Eagle. It's my modified spaceship that has the best upgrades and the most cargo hold. This ship currently does not have the best upgrades. Okay, so let's go and view modify ships. There's my Star Eagle. All right, so let's go ahead and press H to make that my home ship. So now when I turn around, the Star Eagle will be there. There it is. Let's go ahead and get in our ship. I could have pressed R to go directly into the cockpit instead of going into here. Now, honestly, I didn't even have to get into the ship. I could have fast traveled directly from that location, but just for immersion purposes, I'm gonna go ahead and just run through here, and then I'll get into my ship, load in with my custom cockpit with like so much visibility. The default Star Eagle cockpit is terrible, so I swapped it out for a different one. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and take off. And let's just go ahead and go to Seoul, and we will look. We'll fly to Venus, because there is the Varun, which is one of the factions that you can fight against in this area. I don't know what this thing is. Satellite beacon. I'm not seeing any enemy ships here. Let's reduce how much energy we're putting into the grav drive. Let's upgrade our particle weapons to shoot faster. You can just, these things that you blow up, you can just fly right through them. You don't actually run into any of these things. They don't have any mass. And then you can shoot, so all these like animated rocks that are blowing up, it's just disappointing that honestly that you don't run into them. But we can go ahead and mine this. We need to look for an enemy to blow up though. So after we collect this, we'll go ahead and, you know, what we could do. Well, if we wanted to, we could. But let's try to let's go to Callisto. And let's go to, we're just looking for a pirate interaction. We want some faction pirates, the Varoons, to attack us if we can. Again, not seeing any enemies here. So let's go ahead and let's go to Io, one of the moons of Jupiter. And you can create outposts on these planets too if you want to like be on Titan or have a view of Saturn or on your outpost, or you know, you set up whatever resources are available on those planets basically. Okay, so there's a ship here. UC responder. we can actually talk to the ship if we hail them. And you could say, I want everything in your cargo hold right now. All right. Let's not do that. Let me go ahead. Well, I'm a part of the UC faction, so I don't want to cause grief. I'm going to go ahead and save this and just show you this as a... If I start attacking them, then... So look at that. Enemies... My characters did not like that. So I've blown up their engines. All right. Now that I'm close enough to them, I've blown up their engines and I'm close enough to them within 500 meters. I press R and now I'm docking with them. And we can go in there and raid the ship now. So I could just press X and go straight into boarding the enemy ship, or I can, for you know, immersion purposes, I can just go in here.
Things in the universe thrill. And there's you.
He really hates me right now. He does not like piracy. Let's see here.
If you must speak, be quick about it.
If I want to dock, let's see here, docking. The ship docking port in this ship is in a weird location. There it is. Okay, so we're gonna board the ship now. So there's an alarm. Anyone that you go into, what? There's aliens on board this ship. All right. So these people, they're not doing a very good job of defending the ship. But all right, so we have successfully destroyed everything on board the ship. Now, we can, well, the captain's locker was not hackable, but we could steal everything in the captain's locker. If we want to steal this ship, we just sit in the ship cockpit. And now this ship is essentially ours, and all we have to do is undock this bad boy, fly it to a spaceport, and register in our name, and the transponder will then be transferred over to us, and we'll have a brand new ship that we can modify, customize, and do whatever we want with. But this also just made me a pirate, which is why I did not want to actually do it, because of the characters that the relationships I've built in this game. I'm playing a goody two shoes character in this playthrough, so I want to replay as a pirate and do everything evil and wrong and make, you know, just have characters like make all the pirates that you can hire as your crew members and bond with them, and maybe I don't know if there's romantic options with the pirates or whatever. Go down that road. But this time I'm trying to like befriend and be good friends with Barrett and like all of the Constellation members, which are generally morally upstanding characters that don't like shady actions. So you can see I can fire weapons from this ship. And you can zoom into third person mode on the ship, and you can go into cockpit mode as well. And you can just fly around and use the ship. You don't have to actually register it if you don't want to, because it does cost credits to register it. But it's one way to get another ship core, which then you can upgrade and customize and make it into whatever you want. And it doesn't cost anything to... It costs very little compared to buying a brand new ship. Buying new ships that are completed ships is expensive. So taking over ships and then using them is not bad. And if you want to take over ships and be a good character, then what you got to do is take over pirate ships or faction ships from enemy factions. And then the good characters don't look down on you for that, because they were already enemies and you were just going to blow them up anyway. So what's the matter with going in and taking over their ship and then registering it? So that's one way to keep bounties from mounting up on you. So we're going to go ahead and load back to the previous version of our save. So that's how you take over ships. The digi locking tool, you know, I'm thinking that the best way to go to the digi locking is probably going to be doing one of the missions. So I'm tempted to do one of the main story missions or one of the side missions. because there would probably be a lot of locking opportunities there, but there's no guarantees and it might take a while. So what laptop am I playing on? This is the Razer Blade 18. What are my settings? We're on ultra settings with DLSS mod enabled, and our render resolution is at 50% with 2560 by 1600. This says FSR2, but it's actually DLSS because of the mod. It doesn't actually change the label, unless you also get a mod to change the labels. So, anyway, but I love that you can hail this ship, and then you can like threaten them. You can say, "Let's trade."
All right. Just let me get this all down.
And like you can interact with random NPCs, so you could buy resources. I actually do need some of these adaptive frames. Zero wire, poly, I don't know, control rod, comm relay. Okay, so, and if I want to sell, I press Q, and now I could sell him basically anything from this stuff. I actually don't need this, so I can go ahead and sell that. There might be, I don't need membrane. I don't need this toxin. Okay, so you can clear out your inventory with random NPCs, but it all depends on how many credits each NPC has. So that's why you want to sell to a lot of different NPCs to be able to get rid of everything in your inventory, because that's the main limiter, is how much credits each NPC might have. Okay, so let me go ahead and take a look at our outline for all the topics we want to go over. So over here you can see we've talked about nearly everything except the character builder. We've done exploration, we've done mining, we've basically done, let's see here, tips for earning starter money. Probably the best way to earn starter money is, I would say, main story missions can pay like 8,000 credits per mission, and sometimes they're really fast. So you go do those main story missions. That'll give you a lot of XP, which will also help improve your skill points. So I would say power through the main story missions. Honestly, like, I would say just go through and power through the main story missions, upgrade your combat skills so you can do the main story missions, and then just reiterate into a new universe right away, and then start doing the side missions. I don't know. You can do whatever you want. That's the beautiful thing about this sandbox RPG. You can do the side missions. You can try to do everything in the first time playthrough and then reset. But the main reason I'm saying that is because it's a quick way to get a lot of XP. Is just do the main story quests, because, like, for example, the main story quest, when you complete it, gives you 5,000 XP, and that was like four whole levels in one mission being completed. I went from like level 31 to level 35. So it's definitely super worth it to do the main story quests if you want to level up fast. And then doing the side quests are just fun. Like, each side quest, I would say, is like doing your own little novel or like a mini season on a TV show, and just enjoy the character interactions, enjoy and as you do this, right, every mission you do, you'll get a payout, and the higher level missions will start paying like 13 or 14,000 credits per mission. And as you do the missions, you'll constantly be fighting bad guys. You'll be leveling up and looting all the time, and then just constantly fill your cargo hold in your ship. And then you'll want to dump the cargo hold on the vendors, preferably the vendors there in the pirate stronghold, because there's 4 vendors in one location. They're all right next to each other. So that's basically how to earn money in this game. I've talked about tips for inventory management, navigating the world, first-person combat. I've shown some of that earlier. Spaceship combat tips basically are upgrade your ships to have the right weapons, and then make sure those weapons are fully powered. Upgrade your shield drive. And honestly, when you're in combat, also don't have your grav drive upgraded. You probably would want something like this for your ship-to-ship combat. And then your when you're turning, you want to make sure that your dial here on the left of my HUD Like my reticle's right next to it right here. I can go up and down. It's my speed indicator. I want my speed at 50% if I want to turn as fast as possible. If I'm going too fast, it slows my turn radius. If I'm down to the 50% throttle, I can turn it as fast as possible. But yeah, getting your proper ship loadout is probably the most important thing for your space combat tips. And then just enjoy Starfield. Like, to summarize this game, if you are a nut for sci-fi, if you enjoy sci-fi shows, if you enjoy sci-fi games, and you have the patience for like a more like highbrow type of sci-fi story, like if you enjoyed the Expanse TV show, you're gonna love the main storyline of this game most likely. It is super, I think it's super interesting and super engaging, and the way the main story ends and ties into the rest of the world is really cool and enjoyable. The side quests, I really enjoyed each of them. Each of them are like a mini novel or a mini TV show, like I said, and you control how it ends in each side quest. And you know, if you like make certain decisions, certain factions will love you, hate you, be allied against you, allied for you. Characters will die or live depending on the decisions you make, which can influence your romance options. And yes, there is romance options in this game. So there's just so much you can do here in Starfield. And yeah, I love this game. It is super fun. There's so much content to do. My biggest qualms, biggest negatives, the combat is not amazing, but the systems behind the combat is fun. The looting is really fun. The AI at times can be really good, especially when you're shooting at people from a distance. They stay behind cover really well. They pop out pretty well. If you play this game on very hard, you're gonna have to be very strategic about how you upgrade your weapons, how you upgrade your gear, how you upgrade your skills, because all of those things really tie together. So there is a great sense of progression in the game. It's just that, you know, don't expect to like just go into this guns blazing all the time and having like an amazing time, because it's not that amazing of combat. Really, the combat to me is more like a side piece. The space combat and the first person combat is more a side piece for the overall RPG elements that, you know, they're almost like bookends for like the story. Like you go kill these 20 people and then you get an awesome story RPG interaction where you get to decide the fate of this person or whatever. And so, like, the actual missions you do are, I think, the gem, the thing that is really just like incredible about the game. Like the main story starts pretty slow, it snowballs and gets really, really good at the end. The side quests usually are pretty dang good throughout. From the moment you get in there, you're becoming a space ranger, you're doing difficult tasks. It's interesting. You got to do things that are either questionable morally, and you have to make good moral decisions, which will impact how your companions view you, what your upgrade options are. Like if you become a space ranger, you successfully become a space ranger by making the right moral choices and having a good moral outcome at the end, or you don't. You become a pirate, you get kicked out of being a space ranger, and you don't get the benefit of that ship. So there's like, you know, but there might be other faction opportunities that you're given instead. Like you can maybe ally yourselves with the bad guys if you want to. So there's just a lot of freedom of choice, a lot of forking paths, even within the side stories. And especially in the main story, there's definitely some forking paths, especially near the middle and end, that can influence who's alive, who's not, and how the game ends. There's definitely multiple endings for each iteration of your playthrough. So that's my... Is it worth buying? Yeah. This game, if you're a sci-fi nut, if all of that sounds amazing, go buy this thing, go play the crap out of it. The thing is, you got to make sure you have enough hardware, computer hardware, to actually enjoy it. You know, I would recommend like a time spy score of like 9 or 10,000 with a good CPU is kind of your minimum quality gameplay experience on low settings 1080p. All right. With DLSS, and you ramp the DLSS all the way down to 50% render resolution, you can probably get playable frames in QHD, but it's not going to be great. The performance aspect is a big problem. There's a lot of downsides to Starfield, but at the same time, there's so much upside and there's so many reasons to play and to keep playing that it makes me look past the crappier combat things. And also, I think that because this game already has so many mods, I think a lot of the weaknesses of the game are going to be addressed fairly quickly by the community. You know, DLSS support, frame gen support, those are already being added. You're getting, I believe you're going to have new damage models. You're going to get whole new mission quest lines through the mods. Like there will be whole new storylines that'll be created or new combat scenarios. And I'm hoping that the mods will also make the combat better. The first person combat on the ground, third person combat, because you can do first person or third person, as well as the spaceship combat, I think can also be better. That said, the absolute incredible gems of this game, definitely the ship building, the ship customization. There are so many different ship options. Let me show you some of the ship options that you have here. Let's see here. There is a whole subreddit to this. I think it's this one. Yes. Okay. So this subreddit right here is a subreddit that's all about different ship designs. So here's like a fighter ship. Here's a ridiculous pirate ship. There's like NASA space shuttle, crab, Star Wars Republic frigate, Star Destroyer look-alike, an X-Wing look-alike, Razer Crest, which is from the recent Star Wars game. You know, and if you want to be able to make your own ship, there's just so many opportunities, so many different stylistic choices you can make. The Millennium Falcon look-alike. Someone tried to make a Star Trek look-alike. There are limitations with the ship design. If you were to try to want to make a ship that can land on a planet's surface, then you're going to need to have the ship be a smaller ship. If you want to go to these massive, huge ships that some of these are depicting, like this, you know, you're going to actually have to not land on the planet's surface. So like some of the Class C ships are going to have those limitations. But yeah, and now just keep in mind, these are all the defaults, right? Like this is what people have made with the default things included in the vanilla game. Now imagine what this is going to be like 2 years from now when mods come in and they add tons of new ship parts through mods, and then expansions come out and new ship parts are added through expansions, and then there's so much storyline and questing and abilities to play the game in different ways and styles that it's just going to be expounded upon and expanded and increased. This game's only going to get better, basically, is what I'm saying. Like right now we have a great foundation in Starfield. Definitely ways the game has weaknesses, both in performance that will be improved, and I think in gameplay that will be improved through mods as well as future expansions. But there's just so much replayability and variety of questing that it's hard for me to say don't buy this if you're a sci-fi nut. If you love sci-fi stuff, this is probably the best sci-fi game I've ever played from a RPG perspective. Definitely not the best space flight simulator game, Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous are both far superior if you just want to fly a spaceship the most realistic way possible. This is more arcadey, both in the combat style and simulation capability of this game. But if you love running around the planet's surfaces, if you love the idea of building structures, of upgrading a character, of having meaningful character interactions, where you can actually build relationships with characters, and then at the end you can reset everything and try the side quests again and be evil and have a new companion that says different things, and then you have different outcomes in the different side quests. It's just, I don't want to circle too much. I love this game. It's incredible as it is, even though it's incredibly flawed, but it's also incredible, and it's still absolutely worth buying and picking up, as long as you can actually play the game and enjoy your experience in it, because there's definitely a huge hardware limitation here that is going to be difficult. Okay. I think that covers everything that I wanted to talk about with this game. I love it. I think most people will love it who just want to sink their teeth into something that is in depth, has a great RPG space element. So I'd really recommend this subreddit called Starfield Ships, and there's also R Starfield. Here's another great subreddit. Someone built the Planet Express. That's pretty great. I think this is just gonna keep getting better and better. And I just, I can't imagine where this game's gonna go 5 years from now. 5 years from now, this game's gonna be even better. Yeah, I think this is the kind of game that will sell continuously and never stop, and there'll always be a player base for it, just like there's a player base for Skyrim so many years later now. So yeah, I think the main driving factor for this game is either starship design and creation, or playing the story quests, or possibly the Outpost creation mini games. Those are probably the three biggest areas of this game that is just truly awesome and interesting and complex. Yeah. All right. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. This is my first time doing one of these gameplay reviews where I play through the game, explain what I love about it. I hope it was helpful. I'll try to do better next time. But if you like this series, please let me know, because I would love to do more of these videos on other games that I have spent, say, hundreds of hours in. And I can talk about why I love the game, explain the game in detail, and play through the game almost into like a tutorial mode for new players to how to get into it and what's great about it. Because there's a lot of great games like Elite Dangerous, Star Citizen. I've played so many hours of Black Desert, so many. I don't even know if I recommend Black Desert Online. Probably not. But I can make a video about it, and it'd probably be very interesting because I have like 5,000 hours in that game. I also want to make a video about VR. I feel like I've got thousands of hours in VR experience, talking about my favorite VR games and whether VR is worth it. I have not been playing as much VR lately because, a lot of the games I've been wanting to play have been flat screen games lately. But I still love VR. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are interested in that. Please let me know in the comments section down below. Please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. I hope this was helpful. I hope you enjoyed the review. I'll see you in the next one. Brandon.